Hey everyone, and welcome to the Rumcast. This is the podcast that talks all things rum related with the people who love and shape it. And today's episode has become one of my favorite episodes of the year, and I think, Will, one of yours too, and a listener favorite at that. Been looking forward to it for some time now, and I have to say, in this year's fantasy draft, Will, you're going down. But before we get into that,
trash talk right out of the gate. Okay, yeah.
I think we need to recognize that there's a pretty big format change from last year to this year, and that is a third team, right? So we've got a
new
third
challenger
team.
has emerged, as I think you said last episode.
So Arminder from the Rum Revival, welcome to the podcast, and you're here to join us join me in preventing Will from winning this thing again.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited and incredibly honored to be a part of this, to be on the podcast, period, let alone the Fantasy Rum Draft. That's kind of blowing my mind. It really is.
First ever Fantasy Rum Draft guest. So yeah, you're one of one right now in the rum universe. And I like to think of this as John had to push for help to try to overcome me. So he's not fighting alone now. And I think a win for Arminder is kind of a win for John too, just to thwart me from winning 3 years in a row.
If I don't win, Arminder, I want you to win. That's very clear. Yes. We have to prevent Will from getting this three-peat.
So I'll do a slight spoiler, which is that before the episode, the three of us independently recorded a little individual video talking through our individual strategies, and we're going to release those videos to Rumcast patrons before this episode comes out, so they know going into the draft what our strategies are. And one spoiler for mine, you guys, is that I said, and this is nothing against Arminder, in a more than formidable opponent, someone who I'm happy to have on the show. But if the Rumcast hosts lose at their own fantasy draft, it's going to be super embarrassing. So not only do I feel a little bit sorry for John having lost 2 years in a row, that if it can't be me, I kind of want it to be him. But also, if we lose at our own fantasy draft, John, come on, that's going to be pretty pathetic.
I think it's way more embarrassing for you than it would be for me, but that's all I'm saying.
I will say a little background for people who are listening. So John had asked me, like a month and a half ago, to be on, and he even said, like, hey, totally cool if you don't want to, we totally understand, but we'd love to have you. And I immediately said yes, because yeah, totally, absolutely. And so the first thing I did afterwards was, listen to the last two fantasy rum drafts, listen to them, just to refresh the whole idea and the format. And then I did that, and then I went back and listened to the episodes where you reveal the results.
Oh yeah,
and that was great. And then I realized after listening to both of them, like, wait, really? Did John seriously just ask me just to increase his chances of not losing? that was immediately the first thing I thought of. I was like, is that what happened?
It is devious, isn't it?
That's actually not what happened. I think between each year, we kind of look for ways to tweak it, keep it fun and fresh and interesting. Yeah. And this was something we talked about before last year's was what about bringing on another person? And I think we just kind of ran out of time. But going into this year, we knew we wanted to do it. And for those who are not familiar with Arminder and his YouTube channel, The Rum Revival, highly recommend checking it out. I think we've recommended it a few times on the show before, but I think Arminder does some of, if not the best videos about rum in the online rum ecosystem right now. And someone we've gotten to know a little bit over the last year or so. And so you're one of the first names to pop into our head of someone we'd love to come on and do this with. So yes, it is decreasing John's chances of losing from 50% to 33%. Or actually, no, Wait, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not gonna.
It doesn't matter. All this is gonna age like milk when I win, anyways. So
that's true. So,
but thank you so much for those nice words. I really do appreciate it. And I do want to say, you guys have been such a huge influence on me in terms of creating content and doing what I do on my channel. Is a big part of it's been watching you guys, seeing all the content. It's been a big influence on me. So I want to say thank you for all that, for the years of what you guys do and what little I know about rum and the rum industry. A big part of it has come from listening to your guys' interviews with all the great people in the rum world. So again, thank you so much for that. That being said, I will absolutely destroy the two of y'all in this draft.
Yeah, please don't feel like you have to be on your best behavior because you're a guest on the Fantasy Rum Draft. We want you to come out swinging, all the trash talk, everything. Yeah. We want to bring out that side of your personality.
Pleasantries at this point.
I think I tend to be a little more sassy and sarcastic than more trash talky, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely use your own style, be yourself. That's what we brought you here for. So I think before we jump into the draft, there are a few little tweaks, a few refinements this year. The first one we should talk about is because we did add a third person, we didn't want to add like 15 more picks to the draft, and like this episode might end up being a little bit longer, but we didn't want to just like add an extra 45 minutes. So what we did was we trimmed down some of the categories that are available and what we have this year. So actually, let me back up real quick and introduce the concept of a fantasy rum draft. I was going
to say, or at least tell people, hey, listen to the other ones if you want to find out a little bit more about how this goes. But Will, you're probably better served by doing a quick overview, and then let's get into the rule changes. Yeah.
Yes. So quick overview for those who have not listened to one of our first, this is our third year doing this, and the concept comes from the idea of fantasy sports, in which, for example, in fantasy football, you draft a number of actual football players into certain positions on your team, and then your score is determined by what those players do in real life throughout the week, and you go head to head against other people in your league. We have to tweak that format a little bit for a rum fantasy draft. And the way this works is there's no week to week stuff. The winner is all going to be determined in a winner gets all vote at the end of about a week after this releases, I think. And what we do is we are each drafting our ideal desert island rum bar. But we can't just pick any rum under the sun. That would be not as fun and unrealistic. It is a fantasy rum draft, but we want a little injection of reality into it. So what we do each year is we choose an online liquor store or a liquor store that has an online inventory up, and that is what we can choose from. I think our first year we did Pike's Liquors in New York. Last year we did High Time Wine Cellars in California. Right. This year we're staying in the great state of California, so I feel like Arminder kind of has a home field advantage here a little bit. He's actually been to this store in person.
Right? Come on.
Del Mesa Wine and Spirits.
Basically set up. We're giving it to you on a silver platter here, Arminder.
He went and did a scouting report in person.
Unbeknownst to me, I did a bunch of scouting for this very draft. Love it.
So I think they have 400 something rums available. We don't include spiced rums or flavored rums. This is just 100%, unaltered rum. I guess some rums in the inventory are sweetened or, that kind of thing. But anyway, we have a number of categories that we each have to fill. And then after this is over, we will put a link so you can vote in the show notes. I believe the URL we typically use is rumcast.com/vote. So you will go to rumcast.com/vote and you can select who wins each category and you can vote for who has the best overall rum bar. So the trimmed down categories this year, we have unaged rum, that is not aged, obviously.
Thanks
we
for
have
that. Yeah.
Lightly aged rum. Those are rums that are aged from any amount of age up to 4 years. It's basically rums under 5 years of age is the simplest way of defining that. We have the aged category, for which we will draft 2 rums. There are 2 aged rum slots. That is rums from 5 to under 13 years, but 5 or over. So 5 to 13 is the range that we chose for the aged rum category. We have the long aged category, that is rums 13 years or older. We'll be drafting 1 long aged rum this year. Then we have the cane juice unaged category and the cane juice aged category. Those aging conventions are the same as the ones I previously discussed. We have the non-Caribbean category. So any rum made outside of the Caribbean is eligible for that category. We have the multi-country blend category. So any rum that features 2 or more countries in the blend is eligible for that category. We have the 100% column category and the 100% pot category. I think those are self-explanatory, 100% column still rum or 100% pot still rum. And then we have what we call the bench. We have 2 bench slots. So typically in fantasy sports, you have a bench and you decide week to week, like which people you want to start based on the matchups and which people you don't want to start. So the way our bench functions, it gives us a little margin of error a little bit. If you have something and then you end up deciding not to use it or you want to move stuff around a little bit, it's kind of a buffer.
Strategy.
Strategy, exactly. It allows for some strategy, some movement and stuff like that. And this year we will also have in the vote, you will select who you think has the best bench, and that will actually serve as our second tiebreaker. So traditionally, the way the champion is established is you will vote among us three who has the best rum for each of those categories I just listed, and whoever wins the most categories in the vote is the champion. However, we also have a best overall rum bar category as well. Now, the first 2 years, not only did I win in the head-to-head matchups, but I also won best overall rum bar. In theory, it's possible that someone could win the most head-to-head matchups, but not win best overall rum bar. That's just something, it'll be interesting. We'll analyze it if it comes to that. But that's going to serve as the first tiebreaker. Since we have 3 people this year, it is possible that 2 people will tie for most categories won. So in that event, then out of those 2, whoever has the lead or the most votes in best overall rum bar will be the winner. If somehow those 2 people also tie in the best overall rum bar vote, then we will go to the best bench vote as the second tiebreaker. So,
and if there's still a tie, they share the victory. No.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure something out to do in the unlikely event that
highly
that
doubt
happens.
that.
Yeah. But I think those are the overall rules. Now, a couple things we have done. John, do you want to go over our new retirement and snooze rules that we've come up with this year?
Yeah, so we recognized in years past that there's a little bit of a tendency to start picking some rums that we recognize are highly sought after rums in the rum industry or for hobbyists, and that they just really are well known for punching above their weight in terms of price and all of those reasons that make it a really good pick for this exercise. So because we want to keep it fresh, we want to keep things moving in a way, we don't want to see those rums continue to get picked every single year and kind of deflate a little bit of the excitement of the top of the draft here. So because of that, we're putting in some rules forevermore here, I think, for future years as well as this one.
Yeah.
We're retiring a few of these rums. So if a rum gets picked 2 years in a row in the first round, it is retired forevermore. It goes into the Ring of Honor.
The Hall of Fame.
Yes. We need to figure that out, by the way, Will. We'll put a Hall of Fame page or something on the website.
Yeah.
And those rums will forevermore sit there. If, however, it was picked 2 years in a row, but not in the first round, then it just kind of goes to sleep for a year.
It'll be snoozed. It takes a year off. It'll come back. It'll be out of this draft, but it'll come back for the next draft. And if it then becomes a first round pick 2 years in a row, it'll get retired too.
Exactly. So for this year, we specifically have a couple of rums that fall into these categories. Will, the first one for the Hall of Fame, I feel like there should be like music in the background. Na, na, na,
yeah, drum roll,
like
some kind of, something.
It's Probitas. So Probitas or Veritas in some other places in the world is retired. And what was the other one?
Rumfire.
Thank you, Rumfire. Yes, and Rumfire from Hamden.
These rums were the number 1 pick and number 2 pick both years in a row. So
yeah.
I picked first in the first draft and picked Rumfire. Then John picked Probitas. Then the very next year, John had the first pick. He picked Rumfire, and I picked Probitas. And so, yeah, they're retired. This is a great honor for these rums to be the first ever retired in the Rumcast Fantasy Draft. And the rum that has been snoozed, so it was picked 2 years in a row, but not in the first round, is Ray and Nephew Overproof. Ray and Nephew Overproof was already kind of scarce these days anyway, so it just became even more scarce on the Rumcast Fantasy Draft. But yeah, here's a toast to these dearly departed rums, some forever and some
Cheers.
only temporarily. Okay, other important rule, per team, you can only draft one rum from one particular brand. Okay, yeah. So what that means is if I draft a Hamilton rum, let's say Hamilton Pot Still Blonde, for example, that would mean I cannot draft any other Hamilton products. If I wanted to draft Hamilton West Indies Blend or something like that, it would be off the table for me. It would not be off the table for John or Arminder, but one rum per brand per team.
Correct.
Now, the exception to this rule is sometimes distilleries have multiple brands. So, for example, if you wanted to draft a Chairman's Reserve rum from St. Lucia Distillers, that would not stop you from also being able to draft an Admiral Rodney rum, which is also from St. Lucia Distillers, or different independent bottlings that come from the same distillery. If they're different independent bottlers, that's totally fine. So, John, are there any other rules that we need to run through?
I feel like we've covered everything this year. And like we said, if you really wanted to dig deeper into it, you could certainly listen to last year's or the year before that's draft and hear how Will very narrowly won those.
I don't know about very narrowly won, but yeah.
But I think we've covered it all now.
Okay. Well, then I think there's nothing left for us to do but to take a quick break and then start the draft. All right. Arminder, how are you feeling about having the first pick?
Feeling great. And look, I'm not going to lie. I kind of assumed I would be getting the first pick because I figured as the guest to the podcast, you would, I don't know, graciously give that guest the first pick. I know I would do that if you guys were on my channel. And no, it's not. You did not give that to me. Let's be very clear. Listeners, I need you all to know that there was some sort of complicated online randomization thing that happened a few minutes into recording that revealed who would actually get the first pick. Now, fortunately, it worked out that that was me, which is great, and I'm very happy about that. But what would have sucked is if I didn't, because my entire strategy and approach to all this was working under that assumption of your all's hospitality. So glad it all worked out, though. And yeah, I will say for the listeners to maybe keep that in mind as they're voting.
You mean keep in mind that you had first pick and first dibs at all the rums?
No, that there was a chance that I wasn't gonna get the first pick.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
As the guest.
If Arminder's name had come out as the third pick, I would have felt pretty shitty, actually. I didn't think that through, really, so I'm glad it worked out this way. So Arminder has the first pick, John gets the second pick, and I'm bringing up the rear with the third pick. And we're not doing any complicated snake draft
there's no snake draft,
anything like that. Sometimes in fantasy drafts, the person who has the last pick then gets the first pick in the next round. You go backwards, and with three people, that just gives you too much of an advantage to have back-to-back picks. So Arminder, if you're ready, I think you can kick us off. I'm so excited because John and I have been doing this for years with each other, so I feel like I could maybe kind of predict his first pick, but I'm not entirely sure what direction.
No, you cannot. Nope. You will not see this coming.
I'm not sure what direction Arminder's going to go in, so I'm excited to see what happens.
Well, I would say, I think if people watch any of my videos or a lot of my content that I've put out, there's a couple of rums that I'm a huge fan of, right? That I always advocate, that I'm a cheerleader for. And I, and probably my one approach to this and kind of how we'll see how it goes, is definitely to pick stuff that I legitimately love and would want in my desert island rum bar. And the one that immediately jumped to mind, I absolutely thought, if I ever got the opportunity to be on this thing, the first thing I would pick would, of course, be, Rumfire. But considering
this is
that
why
is not
we had to retire it. You see the issue now.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely, was working on an assumption I was going to get the first pick. I was going to pick Rumfire. But given that that's not an option, I do think every home bar should have an unaged, overproof Jamaican rum. Now, obviously, the Ray Nephew is also off the board.
Yeah.
But there is a rum that's been out now for a couple months that I've fallen in love with within the category. I think it's spectacular. I've tried it a lot, neat, blind. I've tried it neat, unblind. I've tried it in a bunch of different cocktails. I think it's spectacular. It's got this lovely, lovely little hint of banana on the finish, and I think it's frankly worthy of the first pick.
Ooh,
I know what this was.
He's got the bottle right there on video.
Wow.
It's over halfway gone already.
Yep.
It's a beautiful bottle too.
Yeah. I had to pick it. It's really, you're right. Beautiful bottle. Love the color. Love the shape. And it is actually a spectacular rum. And what it does that I think that Rumfire doesn't do is it plays well with the other ingredients in your cocktail. It doesn't dominate as much as, say, Rumfire. And it's a lovely rum, and I'm excited for more people to try it if they haven't.
Yeah, that's a great pick. And, looking at the field out there, I was like, I feel like Worthy Park Overproof is going to go in the first round because I think of the remaining overproofs, it's the best one if I had to pick one. There are a few others. Money Musk Overproof is available, but I wasn't sure if it was going to go first overall, but I knew it would go in the first round. So it's a great strategic pick. It's a great pick from just a pure value taste standpoint. So I salute your first pick. You're a natural in the Rumcast Fantasy Rum Draft.
I was going to say, to be clear, I am kind of, at least initially, slotting this into my unaged category. Okay. And obviously, we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah. It's hard to talk shit about the first round picks. I mean, unless you really blow it. But, clearly that didn't happen here. It was certainly on my very short list of early round picks. So, darn it to you, first of all, for picking that right in front of me. because I was certainly considering it here. Okay. All right, so let's keep this thing going here. We got 3 teams this year. Let's run this through. I'm also going to stay in the unaged category here. So I'm not sure it'll end up in the unaged category, but now that, Arminder cleverly and deftly took the Worthy Park Overproof, which I had, at least in some game planning here in my mind to look at, I feel kind of like this is a natural pick for me, but I'm wondering where it's going to end up still. Which is why part of the strategy is to pick it first, because I think it could go in a multitude of places or at least a few, and it could win wherever it goes. So, without any further ado, first round pick this year is going to be Rivers Royal.
Oh, is it not Royale?
Royale, you call it whatever you want to call it. I call it the best pick of the first round. Rivers Grenadine, right? This is a Grenada rum, and it's an amazing rum. I love it it's really hard to beat. It's so unique in what it is, and I don't think there's any comparable thing to it. So its uniqueness and its scarcity and its ability to maybe slot into a couple of different places here in the team is why I'm making it pick number 1.
I did not see that coming at all.
I told you.
Yeah, you are right. It's kind of like taking a sip of Rivers for the first time. The feeling that I'm having right now is just like bewildered, lost. Where am I? What's going on? Who did this to me? Yeah, and clocking in at $69. That's we forgot to mention we have $800 budgets this year.
That's
so
important.
In the past, we had $1,000 budgets, but since we're each drafting fewer rums overall, it made sense. I think the average dollar figure per rum is pretty close to what it was in previous years when we had 1,000, but we were drafting more rums. So
there's no unlimited money here, right? That would make this exercise way too easy. You've got to have some sort of a pinch, right? A factor. So $800 per team.
The other thing is, that this is a great rum because John hates the bottle.
Oh, I freaking hate the bottle. I do not like whatever they did. I know
Iconic
I'm going to get
bottle.
so much
It's
hate
great.
mail for this. Because I don't think I've said freaking hate it before, but it doesn't speak to me, but I know it has its own unique character.
Sure. It looks like someone colored it with crayons, frankly.
It quite does, yes.
I will say, obviously, great rum. I am surprised that that's the first pick, given the price point. I mean, for an category, it's pretty pricey. Though I didn't mention, but the Worthy Park Overproof is only $34. But hey, I'm sure you factored that in your whole plan. I'm sure you. Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly somewhere in there. I don't know that I planned for you to pick Worthy Park as quickly as you did. So we'll see. We'll see how things shake out, though. But I feel like it was a linchpin in my plan. So that's why it's so high.
All right,
Will, let's do this.
John's linchpin is out of the way. So, in the tradition that's been established, I'm going to stick with the unaged category as well.
Ooh.
And here's one of the tricky things about the fantasy rum draft is sometimes you get an idea and it's a little crazy. And you think to yourself, is anyone going to maybe have a problem with this pick? But you don't want to bring it up, because if you bring it up, then people know you're targeting that rum potentially. So we all have access to the spreadsheet over a week in advance. We can all see what's in there. I figure if someone's got a problem with this, they'd speak up about it.
Arminder, this is his way of couching the bullshit already. Just prepare. Prepare for it.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Will.
So you thought $69 was expensive for the unaged category. I'm about to top that.
Okay.
What I'm going to pick is one of the most anticipated releases from last year. Something
this
that
is garbage already.
Immediately went out and bought.
I know what you did now. Go ahead. Get it out there.
Something that is a cherished part of my rum bar at home, and that is the Hamden 8 Marks collection.
Yeah. See, I wrote that down. I knew that's exactly what you were going to say.
Yeah. Agreed. Once you started laying it out there, I knew that's what you were doing. The only reason I don't have a full ass problem with it is because it's $179, and I think that's going to challenge you the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So that was what I thought. I was like, I think John will not like this pick, but it's so expensive and such a big part of my budget that maybe he'll let it slide. And wait, so here's the thing. I know this is.
Go ahead.
I know this is a little wacky. There's 8 rums in it, but I'm not gonna use individual bottles for different categories. Okay, so I'm not going to put a DOK in the pot still category, and I'm not going to put.
We certainly weren't going to let you do that.
No, not at all.
All 8 marks have to be in one category. Okay, so is this a little bit of a backdoor to still get Rumfire on the menu? Maybe. Huh. The HLCF mark, it's in the 8 marks collection. But what I intend to do with the 8 marks collection for my Desert Island Rum Bar is make my own bespoke blend of unaged Hamden rum from the 8 marks. I mean, I'm on a desert island. I have a lot of free time. So going through this blending exercise is going to be really entertaining, not only, but I'm going to end up with some great rum. So I am slotting in the 8 marks collection into the unaged category, $179. Let me double check the price on that.
Yeah, I think it's $179.
It is $179.
A lot of money.
Damn, that's
by the way, the
expensive.
prices are coming straight from Del Mesa, right? We're not, this is not an average price. This is whatever Del Mesa lists it for. So if you're hearing variance with some of these prices, that's where it is. You go to the website, you'll see it.
I will listen. I know this is a little unconventional. I would call it innovative, is how I would describe it. But if you guys are both against this, I will pick something else, but I'll leave it up to you. No one said anything about it before the draft, so
I didn't think anyone would be crazy enough to actually spend all that money on each category. That's why I didn't say anything. And look, if I had a problem with it, I would have called it out last week or a couple of days ago. That's cool. Here's the thing: how much of your actual set have you actually finished? Because I think a lot of people have been sitting on a quarter of the bottles or half of the bottles, and been sitting there in their collection for like a year or however long it's been. So
I haven't polished off any of the bottles yet, and I will. Some of them are probably halfway gone because I've done a little bit of blending and stuff like that, and I've got some Sea Diamond H in a little dropper bottle that I use to liven up some drinks and stuff like that. But the thing is, I assume on our desert island, these bottles are all infinitely replenish themselves. So there's going to be no reason for me to hold back in consuming these in this fantasy scenario.
See, I feel like this is a mistake. I do. I feel like I'm going to let you do it because it's a mistake for you the rest of the way. It's going to cause you so many issues to begin with. I get that it's popular and I get that it's great. But here's the thing. Rumfire
I don't think you do,
though,
because you did not buy one. You did not buy one. So I don't think you get how great it is.
It's true. I didn't buy one. And I was going to buy the 1 year set so that we could trade some. But
that's a very nice idea.
So Rumfire is so inexpensive and brings what it brings for that price. You just paid to get Rumfire or some version of it, because I've heard from other people that they don't even like it as much as Rumfire for whatever reason. I know it's the same thing, but for whatever reason.
I've heard that, and,
you paid $179 for it. So I feel like this is a gambit that is going to explode in your face.
It's not just to get the HLCF mark. I led with that to be a little bit cheeky because Rumfire had been retired, but it's really, John, we just did the packaging episode, and I feel like if you had you had your own and you could sit there and look at it and admire and drink the rums and experiment with it and really interact with this set, you would get it. But so I have to be a little skeptical about your skepticism. But
I think
I'm glad that you think this is going to be detrimental to my strategy, because I wanted to really swing on the first pick. Didn't want to play it safe, and that's how I'm rolling.
Okay, just for the shits and giggles here, Arminder, let me know if you agree with me on this. In our deserted rum island scenario here, I believe he would have to empty all of those 8 bottles before they would magically refill. So,
for sure.
Okay, great. Just making sure we get there with that. You can't just use one or two. It's not like you have an endless supply of only DOK with this, right? If you wanted to do that, right, you have to finish all of them, and then they will all replenish in our magical scenario here.
You got to make a happy plate for the plate to refill.
All right. Or blend,
I'm on board with that. I'll have no problem getting through these. I can do so much with them.
All right, fine. All right, let's move this thing. I probably have more to say, but we need to move on.
You're up, Arminder.
Let's see. So I did the unaged category. I'm going to move on to what I think I will slot in lightly aged, but the beauty of this rum is it can kind of go into a couple of different categories. It can maybe go into cane juice aged. Maybe it can go into 100% column still. This is a rum that is fairly new. I think it came out last year, and I think it was in my top 3 rums of last year video. It's something that I think will get a lot of people into cane juice rums if they were kind of, not into them or tried them and didn't like them. I think, if we even care about these precious, elusive bourbon drinkers, this is maybe a rum that entice them. I just think it's incredibly versatile. It's delicious, neat, fantastic in a rum old fashioned, and arguably has one of the best labels / bottles in the game. It's the one and only Rum JM Terroir Volcanique.
Wait a minute, I gotta get a notepad so I can start doing this too.
So as Arminder revealed his pick, I held up a little post-it note that says T Volcano on it. Just I put the T so people would know I wasn't predicting Fumé Volcanique. But,
I mean, I love this rum, and this is such a fantastic rum.
It's a great pick.
I knew the moment after Rumfire or Worthy Park that this would have to be my next rum, given that flexibility in the categories and how much I love it.
I love it. John, you actually drafted this rum last year, so that means that this will be snoozed for the 2025 Rumcast Fantasy Draft, if it's in the selection for the store that we were using.
And it probably should be, because it also was on my very short list right now, Arminder. So you're 2 for 2, picking right in front of me for this. I'm so upset. I'm like stumbling over my words at this point, because now I'm my strategy here is a little blown up, but that's okay.
I'm usually the one that makes you feel this way, John, because I've always picked before you. So it's kind of nice getting to see someone else do it now.
I mean, the only thing I can say is, his team being good, I'm happy with. I'm okay with that. Like we mentioned earlier, as long as it's not your team, Will. I think you're way behind. All right, so I'm up now. Well, I really was considering Terroir Volcanique, if not this pick, then the next pick. Because, again, it's another one of those, like Arminder, you just said, that's so versatile and does a lot of different things really well. I think right now I'm thinking about lightly aged for this, although I'm sure it could do some other things. What I like about this rum is it's a perennial favorite. Again, if we go back to the original concept here of what do you want as a rum that's going to be on a deserted island, that's going to give you a lot of what you want to do a lot of different things. I sip this and I enjoy this. Some people say it's a little hot, and I think it's really makes any cocktail stand out as much better. So this is Smith & Cross. We're going Smith & Cross. Will picked it.
I'm 2 for 2 on the early predictions, holding up these Post-it notes. Watch the video on YouTube if you want to see. God.
Yep.
Oh, damn it. This was on my short list now. See, you're doing to me what Arminder did to you.
Yeah, I knew you would want this rum too, so it's another reason why I pushed it up to the top of the draft. $39 really is great for this, so I'm very happy to slot this in right now.
Ah, damn it. Yeah, that's very good. I was eager because this is the first year that Smith & Cross has ever been eligible, because the previous 2 stores that we drafted from did not have it in their online inventory. So I was really excited for that rum to be here because of its versatility in terms of where it can be slotted, but also it's just I think that might have been the first like truly funky rum I ever bought with Smith & Cross, I think. So that was kind of like my introduction to real Jamaican funk. It's a great value, $39. It's a really great pick. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some thinking, because I was thinking of maybe 2 to 3 different rums to pick here in my second slot, and Smith & Cross is where I was leaning, and it's now off the board. I think I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go a little bit with my heart here. It's strategic, but also I think I said this last year that I just wanted one of these rums in my Desert Island rum bar, because it's a rum that I try to always have on hand at home. And I went unaged in the first round, so I'm actually gonna go aged, but not only aged, long aged. And I see John scribbling something. Is he writing on his hand over there? I don't know if he has paper.
I found a piece of paper here that I'm writing. Although you just said something that now I have to think about it. You said long aged is where you're going. All right, I'm wrong. Yeah. I'm wrong then.
Okay, so I'm going to go with something that I think not only is a great rum and will provide me with exactly what I'm looking for on this desert island, but also something that a little bit describes my whole vibe going into this fantasy rum draft as a 2-time champion, and that is Foursquare Equipoise. Wow. Arminder nailed it. So Poise, my friends, is the name of the game if you want to find yourself as a Rumcast Fantasy Rum Draft winner. I poured myself a dram of this beforehand, a hefty one, which I'm enjoying right now, And I mean, call me a basic bitch, whatever. Foursquare ECS
if I had
series.
picked it, you would have called me a basic bitch for sure.
Hey, no,
so.
I wouldn't have, because I picked a ECS rum last year, because I think our first year there weren't any ECS rums in the selection.
Right.
So I jumped at the chance to get one on my team. So I wanted to make sure I had one of these, because truly, it's a Foursquare ECS series has been a big part of my rum journey. I think in terms of long aged rum, it's still among the very best out there. I know some people say like there's not enough variation between the releases, but this is the latest one. It's a really good release. It's 14 years, ex-bourbon and ex-Calvados, 61% cask strength. A hell of a rum. I'd put it right up there with most of the Foursquare ECS releases. Maybe not my all-time favorite, but it's rock solid. It's really good. If you like Foursquare ECS rums, you will enjoy it. And I do think the Calvados gives it a little something unique if you search for it. So this is, I believe, $149. So this has been kind of my MO in Rumcast Fantasy Drafts, is to spend big early and then pinch pennies down the road. So I will be adding this to the collection. And yes, I do know that Foursquare Covenant is also available, as is, I believe, Foursquare 2011. 2011, however, is not eligible for the long-aged category, as I believe it is 12 years, so it falls just short of long-aged. Covenant, I think, is a fine rum as well. It is $10 more expensive, and I believe that one's like 18 years of age. And I don't think it was over oaked. I think it was a really good rum. I just give the edge slightly to Equipoise, so that is why I went with it. So I'm feeling good. These are two things that I was just really wanted to have from both a personal standpoint and a strategic one, and I've got them. So I feel like I can breathe a little bit now.
I don't think you can breathe. I think your bottom line is already like, you're sitting there going, holy crap, how am I going to eat at the end of this month? That's what I think. You're overspending right now.
We shall see.
Yeah, it's stressing me out looking at your budget right now.
Yep.
I've still got $472 left, so I'm feeling fine. I haven't even spent half my budget yet.
Yeah, but your next one's going to be another $150. And then
there's going to be a lot of Bacardi down the road. Right. Actually, just one Bacardi because of our one brand rule. But all right, Arminder, it's back to you.
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie, Equipoise was one of two rums I was considering for long aged. It wasn't the one I was really kind of trying to aim for, but I figured if someone grabbed that other one, that would go with this one. So you grab that, so it makes my decision that much easier.
Love it when that happens.
So this was a rum that, again, can slot into a number of different categories: long aged, cane juice aged, non-Caribbean, 100% column still. This is a rum I think came as a bit of a surprise to me. Hadn't had anything from this particular producer or country last year, and it's just so much depth and flavor. There's some subtlety, there's some flavors when it comes to aged cane juice rums that I've never gotten before. It's incredibly delicious. There's a density, but also like a lightness to this rum at the exact same time. And I've quickly regretted not buying another bottle, though I think there might be some floating around still. I'm not entirely
I see them sometimes.
Okay, good, because I'm almost done with this particular bottle that I'm holding up right now. It's the Azotier 16-year cane juice rum.
Okay.
Nice.
I was wrong yet again, and I almost gave something away. So, woo. Okay.
I wrote down. For the people I wrote down Impex, but then I crossed it out as soon as you said cane juice and wrote Azotier. So yeah, and I don't mind blowing the Impex one because I already got my long age, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. For people who are listening and not watching, we are throwing up a little notes of what we're guessing the others' selections are. But yeah, a fantastic, delicious rum, and obviously this was picked last year. I believe one of you two picked this.
I did.
So this is gonna get.
Or no, John did.
I think I did.
Yeah, John, you drafted it. It was one of my rums of the year, though.
Yeah, same here. This is gonna get snoozed then, I guess, given that it's picked twice. But one hell of a rum, like salted caramel covered berries is kind of what I get with a little pop of orange juice. Just a lovely, fantastic rum, which is a bit pricey, I think, for long age. This is coming at, what is it? 140 something, 144. Yeah, 144.
Not cheap. Yep.
Yeah, not cheap. That's my first big purchase, but that's okay. I've accounted for that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I do like the rum. Obviously, like you said, I picked it last year, and I know Will is a fan of it. So again, I can't give you crap for the pick. I will say
now he wants to say something.
Well, I will
Having
say,
said that,
it's interesting that, like you said, if you had one of two rums that you really wanted to go for in the long age category, I get that. It's interesting because now you both have the long age category locked up, so I don't have to worry as much about it, and I can maybe think about what I want to do there for a while. And having said that, that will lead me to my next pick here, which is a value pick in a way. And I again, Will and I are is diametrically opposed the right phrase there with our strategies, where he's pushing all the big dollar items, and I'm kind of looking at some of the lower price stuff here, saying I really want these because I feel like they bring something that I need for lesser price and gives me more options later. That didn't work out for me last year, as we know. So we'll see. What's the definition of insanity? I feel like things are different this year. I do. I feel like
John's going through it in real time. He's realizing his mistakes as he talks through the strategy.
It's all the stages of grief I'm going through at once here. So, all right, here's my next pick. It's going to be from a place that I have to have something from this island on my deserted rum island bar. And there wasn't a whole lot. There is some choice here, so there's some other things. But this one feels like it's the right choice for me, given the other choices that are there. And I know there's one other one that's pretty close to this, but for my money, this beats it. And it's Chairman's Reserve, the Legacy.
Okay. It's not what I wrote down.
It's $54 here, which is a little more pricey than I had wanted to pay for it, honestly. I will say that. Usually I like it around $39 or $44 or something like that, so it's a little pricier, but I'm willing to pay that because I feel like this is something that I can utilize well and get some votes with, because it's a great St. Lucia rum. And, Will, I'll use your own words against you, that you've talked about this being the best St. Lucia rum that they produce. And how much you enjoy it for its price.
So. I think I said it's the best for the dollar value that you can get. Like if you're going to get lower priced, it can't compete with some of the Master Selection Chairman's Reserve rums. But I'd rather have Legacy all day than any of the other kind of standard Chairman's Reserve, or honestly, I like it more than the Admiral Rodney rums too. So yeah, I picked it last year, so I think this one's getting snoozed too.
Damn, next year's going to be interesting.
It's a great pick. I can't knock it. I picked it last year, and all right, that's onto my pick. And I was a little relieved. There were a couple of rums that I was considering here, and I was worried that you might draft one of them, but it didn't get picked. So I'm going to draft something that is near and dear to my heart for a number of reasons. A, it's just a phenomenal rum. I'm finally going with something, by the way, that is not impossibly expensive. So it's not cheap, but it's on the lower end. It's under $50 at least. This is from a location that makes one of a kind rums, and this is something that I think tastes great neat as a nice lightly aged rum. It can also, you can make amazing cocktails with it. It's really versatile. It has a lot of character. It has a flavor profile that you can't find in any other place, I think. And that is the Homesky Fiji Single Origin rum, which was co-selected by the Rumcast podcast, of course. And I think one that you've picked in the past, John. I've never managed to get this. I don't remember if you picked this the first year or last year. I'm hoping it's the first year so it doesn't get snoozed as well. But this is a lightly aged, I think it's a blend of lightly aged column still rum and unaged pot still rum from Fiji, if I'm remembering correctly. But it's been a few years since I've looked at the details. But I always have a bottle of this at home in my bar, so I thought, why not have a bottle on my desert island rum bar? This can slot into a few different categories. Like I said, it can go into the lightly aged category. It can also go into the non-Caribbean category, which is where I'm going to put it for now. Homesky Fiji Single Origin. It is $48. So for a rum that is lightly aged, it's a little bit on the pricey side. But I'm okay with that. Del Mesa is kind of a little bit pricey on some rums. Other rums, it's like totally normal range, but sometimes they're a little bit more. And I feel like usually this rum's more in like the low 40s, but maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, locking it in, Homesky Fiji Single Origin. Super pumped to have this in my bar.
It's a good pick. Obviously, we both like it a lot, so I can't say much about it there. I will say I'm interested to see how your strategy plays out with it, though. That's all I'm going to say for now. I don't want to give too much.
Oh, it's me. Hey. All right. So let's see. I think for my next pick, I have a couple of. So those are the first 3 I picked. Those are the ones I was hoping to secure for the first 3, and I've gotten that. So I feel like the rest I kind of breathe a little easy. But then the rest of my picks that I have in mind, I don't have any like real priority, like one over the other. So that's going to be tough now. I think I might go something a little cheaper because I spent the 144 on the Azotier. Okay, I'm going to go with a rum that I think I'm going to slot it in, at least initially, in my cane juice age section. It can work under the lightly aged section. It can work under 100% calm still.
You're Captain Cane Juice, man.
Well, yeah, look, got to stay true to, when I actually drink, right? Captain Cane Juice is a great handle. That should have been my handle on Instagram. Oh, man.
This is, I mean, even Worthy Park Overproof has a little bit of cane juice.
It does.
In it, so
right.
It's true.
But this will be your 3rd aged cane juice pick in a row, and I'm not knocking it. I love it. You're
I
staying
would
true
say,
to yourself.
I would say to differentiate a little bit, maybe from Nicholas Palazzi, who's Captain Cognac. Maybe you should do Colonel Cane Juice.
Colonel Cane Juice.
There you go.
Corporal
Cane Juice.
But this is a rum that I would say is probably from the best producer on the island that it's from. It's got just enough aging, but still allows the cane juice to shine through. And when it comes to, I think this is a great bottle. Shape of the bottle is an iconic silhouette. I think the label by itself is pretty striking. But this one, and this specific bottling, I think it has this combination of bottle, silhouette, bottle, label, and its color, as well as the color of the rum itself. That combination of the 3 makes it, in my opinion, the most striking thing you'll find on any back bar or any shelf. Your eye will immediately gravitate towards it, and it's the Nissan Elevée sous bois.
Ooh,
I mean,
that
orange
is a
on
good one,
orange
too.
on orange.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love, You're speaking my language with the Nissan bottle praise. I was this close to selecting them in our best bottles category. And I had to ding them a little bit because I think in the copy on the back it says waxing eloquently, which it should be waxing eloquent. And that's a pet peeve grammar thing.
Them
of
for
mine.
the adverb.
Wow.
It's incorrect. Anyway,
I thought you were going to say something
regardless of that, it's a damn fine rum.
It
is. One of the most iconic bottles in all of rumdom, I think, right? I feel like there's no arguing that. And I think that just that
John doesn't
gold
like
and thing, it's lovely. Really,
No,
John?
no. I didn't say that. No, he's putting words in my mouth because I had a different thought. I'm good with this bottle. I do like this bottle. I'm not saying it's my favorite out there, but I do like it. Like you said, Arminder, I think it stands out. So you're 100% right. That is a good bottle. My question, and why I was rubbing my chin a little bit, is it better than the Reserve Special?
100%. Yeah. Even if they're the same price, it's so much better. One, higher proof, and 2, again, you're getting more of that the lovely distillate, the lovely cane juice shining through. I think the Special, it's a little too heavy on the oak. Which, for other folks, that might be the thing. But to me, at that point, what's the point? I mean, I want to taste that lovely cane.
It's a good argument. I mean, I will say you're in the cane juice aged category, so you want to, balance some aging on here. Now, this is the point in the draft now where we have to start, getting a little bit picky with how we're doing things. I don't know. I like the Especial quite a bit also. These are both great rums. I mean, again, it's not a bad pick. I wonder there with that one.
I'm in the Elevée sous bois corner as well.
Of course you are, Will.
I think
of course you are.
I think it's a superior rum, but also you get to say Elevée sous bois. So it's just like
you just feel fancy saying it. You just feel, I don't know, sophisticated.
And I feel like,
fancily.
French is not my strong suit, but I feel like Elevée sous bois is close to the correct pronunciation. So it's one of the few French phrases that I can say with like a modicum of confidence.
Can a French speaker please tell him he's wrong?
I'm definitely saying it incorrectly, but I feel like I'm in the wheelhouse at least. We need to get Nicholas back on here. He would nail it.
All right, I'm up. So this is an interesting one. I'm going to stay in the cane juice category here, actually.
Run on cane juice. It's like when someone takes a quarterback in a football fantasy draft.
Exactly. I'm really hoping that this one really pisses someone off here. I don't know that will be the case, but I starred it when I was doing my research. I put a little star next to it because I was like, this is one that I think is on Will's shortlist and maybe Arminder's as well. And because of that, I really want it, not only because you all want it, but because I think it's a stellar rum, and I think it's something that's going to work really well in one of two different categories right now, because I'm still thinking this through in terms of strategy, and that is Rum Boulogne Blanc.
Ah, all right.
So this is
bottle of that right over here.
Yeah, I know you do, and I know you've been championing it for like all year. So, and Arminder, I think I've seen you talk about this also.
No, I haven't. Nope. Nope.
You are wrong.
Yep.
I could have sworn
you're more than welcome to the rum.
So I think this one's a really nice one. I like Rum Boulogne quite a bit. I think it's a great example of a cane juice unaged rum. I think it's, again, something that's unique, that's bringing something a little bit different, but is fantastic in a daiquiri. I need a good daiquiri rum. So for me, this is where I want to go with this. $45, not too expensive. Really, I think it punches above its weight for what it is. So I'll keep it simple. Rum Boulogne Blanc, lock it up in the cane juice unaged category for now.
Hey, John, also, if you could quit slacking off and put your picks in the shared spreadsheet, all you've got is Rivers and Smith and Cross in there. Try to catch up with Arminder and I. Arminder, this is his first time. He's got all 4 picks in the sheet. You're slacking off over there.
Yeah, slacking off, or is that a strategy to make sure you guys don't remember what I had? Yes, I will absolutely do that, though.
It's a rock solid cane juice rum that I enjoy quite a bit. And I like that you picked it just because, I mean, not just because, but we are going to be seeing more from Boulogne in the United States because Ed Hamilton is going to be bringing it in very soon, I think. If not, maybe he already has. But yeah, to me, it's great value. I think it's kind of insane that Del Mesa has it for $45. I ordered my bottle from Fine Drams for less than $30. So at $45, I would not buy it at that price in the US just because I think there's other stuff around that price point that is superior, but it's a solid cane juice rum. Good job.
I think the people will prove you wrong with that statement.
All right. I know which way I'm going to go, and you guys inspired me. I'm actually going to stick with cane juice as well. And partially this pick could go in a few different categories. So, normally I might be able to sit back and be like, oh, they've got cane juice, although Arminder does not have his cane juice unaged yet. So all of his cane juice has been aged. So I'm going to go cane juice, but I am going to go away from the rum agricole direction. I'm also going to go away from the column still direction. And I'm going to go to the island of Haiti and grab myself a bottle of Clairin Sajus.
Okay.
Oh, Arminder nailed it again.
Oh, man.
I think you've got that right over your shoulder back there, right?
Sure do.
Right in your permanent,
over there.
If it's good enough to be permanently in the background of Rum Revival videos, then I feel like it's good enough to win the cane juice unaged category. So I don't know. I'm trying to remember if I've had a Clairin in my bar before, but they give you something that's hard to duplicate from other places. I think sometimes some of the Mexican cane juice stuff, the aguardientes, get compared to it, and I still think they're like cousins, but they're not really one-to-one replacements. So I'm going to go with Sajus, which is my favorite of the Spirit of Haiti unaged Clairin releases that they've done to date. It was one of the earliest ones. To me, it's still the best of the bunch, and I am happy to lock it in for now into my cane juice unaged category, although this would also qualify for 100% pot and I guess unaged rum in theory, because I could move Hampton 8 marks around a little bit. So what more can be said?
Well, look, obviously having it displayed behind me, clearly I'm a huge fan of it. And it was actually my top pick for that category for cane juice.
All right.
So
all right.
I'm a little frustrated. That's the first kind of steal in terms of the things I had in mind. But hey, I think I've said on the record that it has maybe my favorite spirit, period.
Wow.
So I kudos to you. It's a fantastic selection.
I'd like to think that I heard that from you at some point, and it was stored in my subconscious, and there was just some little voice telling me to pick it. But no, I did pick. I did think I know John likes this, or John, you said in the past that you love this rum.
This rum,
and I knew Arminder, you were a fan, because they're in the background of all the videos. So, but this was mostly a pick with my heart, and just I think this is a very unique rum, a really cool one to have in the lineup.
I don't buy it at all. You've always said you like Vival better.
No, I haven't. I've never once said that. I've said Vival was the first one I ever tried, but Vival always hits me with this giant like tomato note, and I think Vival is fun and interesting. But Sajus has always been my number one ever since I had it. So you can go back and listen to every
the record on that one.
You can go back to the record, and it's the burden of proof is on you, my friend, to find that, because I don't think you will.
It was definitely my favorite of their series, so I will give that to you.
All right. So next pick, I think we go back to me.
Back to you, my friend.
Given that both of you have now tentatively put in cane juice unaged rums, I'm not going to worry about that particular category for now.
Be careful with that, though. John's thought he could sleep on a category before, and I went back and doubled down. So
that's true.
He did just to be an ass.
I'm looking out. I'm looking out for you because you're new and it's your first time. This is part of the Rumcast hospitality package.
Oh,
so
is
just
that
some
what
friendly
that is?
advice.
Okay, right. Okay. I'm gonna go something that can be unaged, could be 100% column, but I'm gonna actually slot this in for my non-Caribbean option.
Ooh.
Now, this is a rum that I think potentially, I'm a little bit of assumption here, but I think it's kind of polarizing in terms of its flavor and aroma. It's pretty intense, pretty bold. That being said, I am surprised by the amount of people who do actually like it. I just didn't expect this many people, the ultra rum geeky folks maybe, but just the broader kind of rum drinking kind of population have kind of semi-embraced it, which is awesome. I've seen people use this in cocktails, which I have done a little bit, but people are using it in Mai Tais, and I'm super tempted. Haven't done it yet, but I will. It's the one, it's the only, from Reunion Island, Holmes Key Grand Arome.
Ah, now you stole mine. Damn it, Arminder. Golly.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah,
Thought I could wait on it.
Sorry, buddy. It's just a fantastic. This was high on my list. I knew I wanted to get it at some point, especially for that non-Caribbean option. And I just think it is a spectacular, crazy rum. And since I couldn't get something as intense as Rumfire, I feel like this was something that kind of plays a little bit in that same kind of big bold space. And look, one thing which I don't know if you guys have ever talked about, I love Holmes Key's new labeling, what they do with the little abstracted sugar canes.
John doesn't like it.
You don't?
Will is a big fan of it.
Buddy.
I'm not as much of it. It's fine. It's fine for me.
I think I like that you have to work for it a little bit. I didn't when I first saw these. I didn't know what they were. I just thought they were cool little lines.
That's what I thought too. And now I
saw Kane. I'm not trying to be like, I was the genius who saw Kane right away, but I did. The sugar cane, it jumped out to me. But the one that I love the most is the Heritage Blend one. That's in the dark brown glass bottle, and the cane stuff is white on it. I think that one really pops. But yeah, John and I disagreed on that one. That's a super fun pick. It was ineligible for me since I did the Fiji single origin. I do like. If these stay the same, I've got Holmes Key Fiji and non-Caribbean. You've got the Holmes Key Reunion Grand Arome. So we could have a little Holmes Key face-off. John, pick a Holmes Key non-Caribbean category, and we'll get a Holmes Key showdown there in the non-Caribbean. Be a team player.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will. But not right now. Right now, I'm at a little bit of a crossroads here, I have to say. There's been a few picks that have come out that have pushed me into a little bit of a different space than I was hoping and wanted to be in. So my next pick here is kind of a surprise to me. As we were doing this and I was doing some of the prep for this, I was kind of impressed with this rum overall. And I felt like it was something that kind of stuck out to me that I was like, I really didn't think that this would be something that I would most likely pick or consider for picking. And yet here we are. So I am thinking, I'm trying to go over in my list right now to make sure it works for me. It's just so expensive for what it is. That's
John,
the
you
hard
have to
part.
spend the money at some point, dude.
I think you're right. I'm going to go for it, and I think I'm going to slot it into the cane juice aged category for now. Although this might end up being somewhere else. We'll see. This is going with the Papillon Haiti 4-year.
Ah,
Oh.
yes.
So, I like this rum a lot, actually, and like I said, I was surprised how much I liked it. I didn't expect it. I'm a little concerned as a pick because some people out there that maybe they haven't tried it, they're going to go, "Oh, it's only aged 4 years," and you know how there's bias against aging with that. But as a cane juice rum, Arminder, you made the point earlier that when you're aging cane juice, the lightly aged rums seem to stick out as the right balance, or very, very, very long aged. And the very, very long aged, of course, are extremely expensive. So this one is fairly expensive, though. So that's the only downside here for a 4-year rum. $79 is a little up there for it. But I still like the pick. I like that it's versatile. I like having a rum from Haiti. And of course, Saju was already picked. And yeah, I could have gone with another Clarin from them, but I feel like I had to do something different. So we'll go with this one.
So I was pumping my fist when you picked this because in our pre-strategy individual videos,
Yeah.
one of the things we were going to discuss individually is sleeper picks, and I identified this and I said John is going to draft this rum, and you'll see when the video is up, because John, you and I were both on the same online tasting where that was included, and I'd had it before, and I've talked about this I think in a Patreon bonus episode. I wanted to like that rum so badly, and I know lots of people do, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked with me. But you loved it on that tasting, and so I was like, I think John's going to go with this. Also, you gave this whole preamble about like, oh, it's so expensive. I was expecting something that was at least going to be triple digits, John. That's only $79. Arminder's got a 144. I've got 2 triple digit rums.
Yeah.
You still got $514 left. You can't take it with you, buddy.
I'm okay with that. I feel like, look, I'm looking to find rums that are going to be in that, $50 to $100 category that are going to beat rums in most categories that are more expensive. So,
all right.
I'm totally fine with you having that rum. I think the Clarins are such lovely, lovely spirits that throwing any kind of age on them just kind of just kind of doesn't do them justice. Doesn't do justice to the delightful flavors and nuance of all the lovely cane distillate, So
Preach.
even I would say even lightly aged, I think it just is not the way to go with those. So have it. You're more than welcome.
I love the campaigning. I love the campaigning from Arminder. He wasn't afraid to start.
That's fine. The thing is, I would usually be saying exactly the same thing as you, Arminder. So I agree with you, except somehow this one just stuck out as like, whoa, they did it right. So, that's my only retort to you is usually I would agree with you. In this case, I think it's a good one.
Yeah. They used a lot of different cask types in there in that blend. It's a blend from, I think, most of the Spirit of Haiti producers. There's some Providence in there as well, which I think that part might be cane syrup, but this is like predominantly cane juice. It's a cane juice rum. So, okay, I'm going to kind of, I mentioned that online tasting that we were on, John, which was done by Kate Perry. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to pick another rum that was featured in that tasting. This is going to be the cheapest rum that I've selected so far. And it's a new rum, and one that I think I've spoken about it on the podcast, one that I think is phenomenal in cocktails. It's a cool looking bottle. It's kind of striking. It's a multi-country blend. It's lightly aged, so it can do a lot of different things. And I'm going to go with Transcontinental Rum Line High Seas, which I'm sure was very predictable as I started to.
Yes.
The context clues there were pretty. You guys both got it.
Well, I wrote it before that even. I feel like you stole this from Arminder, though, because I feel like Arminder was going to pick that.
Well, here's the thing.
That was my pick, yeah.
This is one of my fears about having Arminder on, is that I feel like he and I think our palates are pretty similar because I think we've both done Rum of the Year picks. Was it last year that we both picked the Flag Series Trinidad? Didn't we both pick that?
It's a really great rum. Yeah.
I think we share some similarities in our preferences, but yeah, this is one that just for me, it's just a very fun rum that you can do a lot of different things with, and I think it's hard to come up with blends that fit in this sort of like, it's like semi-premium mixing rum, sort of. It's like it's a rum that would be great for a daiquiri that has an aged component but is still under $40. I think there have been a lot of producers trying to come out with that recently, like Holmes Key has one. Rolling Fork has their Heart of Gold rum. There's some other ones I'm not thinking of, but this one is in that tradition. And to me, it's the one that has stood out the most. And I bought a bottle earlier this year and I went through it like so quickly. So that's just one of the undeniable tests for when you really enjoy a bottle is like how quickly are you blowing through it. And so, yeah, I'm going to pencil this one in with a multi-country blend for now. It's $34, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, $34. So saving, I'm feeling good about the price per dollar there. It is a cocktail rum. You can have it neat, and it's solid neat, but it really shines in cocktails. So this is going to be one of my go-to cocktail rums. Maybe I'll sprinkle in some of that 8 Marks collection on it from time to time to spice things up a little.
He's trying to sell it still.
Yeah, and like look, and yes, it obviously is something that I'm a fan of, but I'd argue a lot of people haven't had it. This is, for being a big splashy release, I don't think it's widely available. I think a lot of people haven't had the chance to try it. And so I think
a little bit of a
might
risk.
Hurt you. Yeah, it's a bit of a risk in that regard.
I agree.
Yeah.
You always have to balance a little bit. Is this something that lots of people are going to have and are likely to vote for versus like how much do I like this thing? And I think for the purity of the game, erring on the side of I really like this thing is never something that can be frowned upon. Sure, maybe it'll come back to bite me in the voting, but I will not have betrayed my heart. And so I can sleep soundly at night, look myself in the mirror and feel great.
Good for you.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you. Yeah. Olivia Rodrigo. Let's go.
All right. So for my next pick, I have, this is tough because I can go in so many different directions here. But I think I'm going to maybe now pick one of my aged selections. This one plays maybe less in other different categories. So kind of want to grab it maybe now. And then I could pivot with other releases if I need to, I guess. Yeah, let's go for it. So it's been out for a couple years now. This, in my opinion, is one of my favorite expressions of rum from this particular producer, particular country, particular still. People go gaga over rums from this still, and there's a lot of different options. We have a lot of different ways of trying rums from this still. I gotta say though, frankly, generally speaking, when it comes to rums that are continentally aged from this particular still, I'm not a fan. They don't really do it for me. I like when they're continentally aged, they're a little down, they're a little dirty, they're just there's a little more character and personality. Okay. And obviously this is, maybe the most iconic still maybe in the whole world, good old Port Morant. And I'm going with El Dorado cask strength Port Morant single still, 56.7% ABV.
Nice. Very nice. I wasn't sure what bottle it would be, but I knew once you started talking about it, it was PM. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is just, I love it. I just think it's so tasty. It's got everything I want from Port Morant, right? It's got those dark fruits, dried fruits. It's got the coffees, the chocolates, the caramels. It's concentrated goodness in a glass is how I describe it. So very happy to have secured this for one of my aged rums. And it is expensive though, right?
I was going to say, that's the main critique I have on it is those bottles are fairly expensive. But like you said, you went with the cask strength series, which I think is still worth it.
Yeah, still worth it. No pun intended. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a little surprised that you rate that so highly amongst all the PM options out there.
That are currently available, sure.
Yeah. Just because my impression of the El Dorado ones, I think they're all tasty, but I feel like they dial down the weirdness a little bit, which they're, you can get PMs that are pretty out there and like, wild with like the kind of, green, mossy, little like PM funk kind of characteristic. And I feel like I feel like they favor more of those kind of richer characteristics in those El Dorado releases, and they're good. They're good. I'm not trying to say they're bad, but I was just surprised. I feel like the most rum nerds go toward the weird. So I like that you have something that is a little bit of a contrarian take on it. So and the classic El Dorado bottle. Yeah, it's good to have one of those.
Can't beat that. And look, I like to march to the beat of my own drum.
To the march,
yeah. Just for me, there's something about it. I just like that richness. I think to your point, to me, that's what I lean towards when I want something from Guyana. I want that richness. So
I respect it.
It works. Yeah.
John's over there twiddling his fingers together. I feel like he's either He's about to say something disparaging about your pick or make a really good pick.
No, I already said it. I think it's a great rum. I just think it's so expensive, but I get it. Like I totally get it. And you wanting to have a PM, a Port Morant.
I can't wait to see John's lineup of all 11 rums or whatever that are all under $100.
Well, let's keep going with it. Continue. Here we go. It's actually going to be the cheapest rum so far. It's an interesting one. I think it's well beloved. I think it's fairly new. So it's only been out for maybe, a couple of years now. But I think pretty much everybody knows it. And it's what I would call an essential blend to have in a rum bar that I want to make drinks with, especially a specific drink. But it can be used for many things. I had waited on this because I was really feeling like somebody was going to pull the trigger on a Hamilton rum before me. And so if I lose this time, it's my own damn fault because my own strategy so far, I haven't been able to play it out and make it execute. But I'm going to go with Hamilton Beach Bum Berry Zombie Blend Rum here. I think, Will, you would pick this last time.
I did, yeah.
And I've had a chance to try it since then in a drink, and it was great, and also on its own. I don't think this is, something that most people are going to neat drink. I may end up just putting this in the bench at the end of the day. I'm not really sure. But at $24 for a bottle of this, I think it's a great one.
24, really?
Is that what I have? Oh, hold on. Maybe I have it 29. Wrong. I know it's cheap. 29.
Yeah, 29.
$29. At $29.
Look at this guy trying to pinch pennies even when it's straight up lie.
At $29, I had a few different ones in there, so I think maybe that was on me. But $29 is still really good for this one, and I feel good about having it. Wherever it ends up, it could be multi-country blend, it could be in the bench, it could be somewhere else. We'll see. Yeah, I want to have this there, so I feel like it's a big name.
I think we can safely call Ed Hamilton the king of value in the rum world today. I think is a fitting label for him. So I did pick this rum last year, so it's another one that's going to get snoozed. I think this is going to be a really fun wrinkle going forward. But this is kind of a fun part of the draft because it's like there's so many good choices to make right now, but so many different directions I could go in. I think I do need to start getting my house in order in the aged rums category because John already has a pick in there. Arminder,
Get your
you already
house
have
in order,
have a pick. We've got to have two in this category.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go with one that I know not only I kind of see as one of the... I can't remember if Lance has put this in his Key Rums series or not, but to me, if I were going to make my own Key Rums series, this would be in it. And that is Worthy Park Estate Reserve rum. So I knew I wanted to get some Worthy Park somewhere in the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't have one yet. And this is a lovely, moderately aged Jamaican rum. And just it's a nice representation of Worthy Park style. It gives you that classic banana bread profile. You get the characteristics of age. You still taste the lovely fruity notes and everything. So for the aged category in this bar, this is like exactly what I'm looking for in a rum. And, I've got some cask strength already with equipoise. Obviously, the 8 Marks collection are high proof. So I believe this is like 45% ABV. So this is like a great sessionable rum that still has complexity. And also, I know, John, a beautiful bottle, if you had to say so yourself.
It is my favorite bottle of all time, I think, or at least one of the top 3, and it's also one of my favorite rums. So I really want to talk shit about it, but I can't at this point. It's a good pick. Whether or not it's the best Worthy Park in this draft or not, that's maybe a better question, but it is a fantastic expression.
Yeah, $69. So, not cheap. But I've still got $267 to work with. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not worried about the 8 Marks Gambit quite yet. So Arminder, excited to see where you take things.
I'm gonna go with the tank for a little bit here because some decisions have to be made.
Get in the lab
with a pen and a pad, trying to get this fucking rum bar off.
How many picks are left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You have to be careful with that.
I'm gonna see what my average rum cost can be from here on out. $38. That is I am feeling the pressure a little bit now seeing that number.
I am totally feeling the pressure right now.
You have so much budget to work with, man. You have
not the budget. That's not what's concerning me. The strategy, I was hoping things would play out slightly differently. And as much prep as I did to try to get the different permutations of what could happen, I still feel like I didn't get this one. I love my picks so far. Don't get me wrong. I think they're good picks. Whether or not it's as, hopefully dominant as I wanted it to be, yeah, I don't know about that.
Hey, man, the important thing is that you can look yourself in the mirror and sleep easy tonight. If you can do that, you're a real winner. Almost. Not really, but, once you've won, you can be a real winner.
Yeah.
Guys, it's really about the friends we made along the way.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I feel like I need to grab this bottle now, because I don't know if either of you, it's on your radar, but I feel like maybe for one of you it might be. So I'm going to go for it now. This is something that I think is going to play in the, could be aged, could be 100% column. This is a rum that is relatively available, been around for a while. It's something that I recommend to people who are newish to rum, who want an affordable and available and approachable rum to sip on. That can also work spectacularly in an old-fashioned. This is a rum that is my go-to rum for an espresso martini. It shines through.
Oh, wow.
The crazy thing, I am going to slot it in the 100% column. My understanding is it comes off that column at like pretty close to neutral. It's like 95, 96% ABV.
Wow.
But with all the aging, plus a small smidge of maturation in some spices and who knows what else, it ends up being an incredibly delicious and flavorful rum. It's good old RDB3, Rondell Barley.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Very nice.
Good stuff.
I did the 2-star last year, so trying to save a little bit of money, but the 3-star is really where it's at.
That's where it really shines. I really do. I think, and for the price, and even it's only 43% ABV, but I think for that proof, it packs plenty of flavor. Generally, it's well priced. I think it's a little overpriced here at Del Mesa right now, but I've got the budget for it, so it's okay.
Let's see, what's the price?
It's at like 47. Yeah.
Oh man, 47. Like I often see that rum over $50.
Really?
In the Nashville area. Yeah.
Do you really?
Around here, it's around 30 something.
Yeah, I was gonna say 35 to 39.
Oh man, if it was like sub 40, I would probably consistently have a bottle of that, because Arminder, like you said, it's just kind of a, is it the purest, most amazing form of rum? Probably not. Fairly neutral column still distillate that is not distilled at the place. It used to be from distilled at Bacardi. Honestly, I think it's distilled in the Dominican Republic now. Don't quote me on that, but that's last I heard. That's what I think it is. And they do the fruit macerations for the small percent that goes into the blend, but the 100% sherry cask aging, it's just it's a great comfort zone kind of thing. And it does play amazing in cocktails. Like you can make awesome cocktails in it. So yeah. It's a really fun bottle to have. I like that for you.
Thanks for validating my selection.
You're welcome. I assume you're craving our validation, so I just wanted to offer some up there.
Constantly and always, yeah.
I think obviously it's a good rum. It's a good pick. I don't know yet if it's going to win the category. That's what some people, I think they underrate that rum in a weird way. So that's the only risk. All right, so I'm back on the board again. Totally stressing. I think I've sweat at this point on my brow because I'm feeling it a little bit in terms of making sure I make this work out the way I want it to. And I think this next rum is going to help me. And it's another one that's a mid-priced rum that I quite like a lot. It's hard to say, and this is why I'm a little stressing it, because it's hard to say whether or not in this little category or niche about what I'm about to tell you, whether it's going to be the best, that people say, oh, well, this one is the best, and if especially one of you picks something similar. I don't know that you will, looking at your picks right now, but I'm going with the TCRL Australia 2014.
Okay.
And this is a great rum that I think I needed to have some Australia. I love this is Binley, and a Binley Australia rum needs to be there for me. I'm going to put it in non-Caribbean just for now. It could end up being in my aged category instead, and we'll see how things shake out. It's $64, so it's not super cheap, and compared to the other Australia rums that are available on the site, it's definitely the cheapest of them. But I still think it plays and packs the same kind of delight that you get from those other Australian, if not just as good or better. So that's kind of where I'm trying to go with this one is find something that strikes the right balance for an Australia rum. I really like it. I think a lot of other people do, and hopefully it works out.
I will say, John, it's good. It's good. I think I've picked one of the TCR Australias in past years. I don't know if it was that one specifically, if it was a previous year. There is another one available that I think is demonstrably better, and that is the Velier 2013 one that Mike Hooker so vehemently disagreed about with me on our most recent Rumcast happy hour for patrons.
Right.
It's $99, yes. Right. But so 10 years of age, 59% ABV. This one just sings for me. And you have the budget for it. I don't understand why you didn't go for it.
Well, you said it's demonstrably better, and I actually disagree with that also.
Well, you're free to be wrong.
Well, I'm also free to be right by a lot of other people's opinions. So that's really what I'm going after here is I think you're in the minority. And I think there are people who love that rum also. Don't get me wrong. I think they're both strong. But at the end of the day, I'm getting it for 2/3 the price. And I think it brings a comparable experience. So that's really where I'm going.
I think Will wins for using the word demonstrably. Yeah, that's just me.
I like having someone here to break the tie when we're at loggerheads like this. It's nice, especially when it works out in my favor. So
it's like my parents are fighting and I have to pick one. It's a little rough.
It's okay, guys. Yeah.
So Will, is your next pick then that Velier?
No, it's not. The reason I was comfortable showing this bottle and talking about it is because I do not have the budget for a $99 rum right now. Yeah. So,
and I knew that.
Yeah, I'll be fully transparent about that. I mean, it's obvious if you guys look at the sheet. So, okay, I'm gonna pick something, and my budget's squeezing me a little bit. I calculated earlier. I've got like average bottle value of like $38 left, and I'm gonna pick something here that is over that, but. I went through a variety of exercises before this with the budget, and I feel like I can still ultimately make this work in the end. So I'm going to pick something that can go into 100% column. It could potentially go into aged. And this is a rum that I think is very easy to overlook in your rum journey. But it is one that I recently revisited this rum, or I don't know, within the last year, revisited this rum and was kind of blown away at the character and complexity in it, despite its low proof. This is from our producer that listeners will know. John and I are both fans of. We've interviewed them on the podcast. There's a variety of options to go with from them, but I'm going to go with this one. It's a bit of a classic rum, and it's one that has an element that is kind of makes it a little bit unique in their lineup, and that is the Don Q Gran Reserva rum.
Ooh.
So, yes. I had you in the first half, right, Arminder?
Yeah, like it's a cognac cask. Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go with the cognac cask. I think John drafted that last year, and it's a very good rum. I think any of the cask finishes that they've done recently, except the port, which is awful, that's harsh. It just straight up tastes like port. So that's why I don't like it. But the Gran Reserva, it's a blend of a variety of ages. I can't remember the exact range. It also has some of the rum that's been aged in their sherry Solera system. This is like a true Solera. I know I'm using a 4-letter word a little bit, but this is a real Solera system that they've been running there at Distillería Seraillé since the 1950s. And you can taste its presence when you taste the Gran Reserva. I think we revisited this, John, when we did I want to say it was our 80 proof tasting lineup, trying to search for the best 80 proof rums. And that was when I was just like, wow, this is, for an 80 proof rum, this is really good. And, maybe I didn't go into this thinking I'd go for an 80 proof rum, but that's one to me where it checks a lot of boxes just in terms of, and you can put it in cocktails to make amazing ones. But, so I'm going to slot that into 100% column still for now and feel happy that I got it.
How much is that?
It's $54.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I love Don Q, but that is like my least favorite from them. Having tried it now, 2 different bottlings of it, and it's so light. I kind of straight disagree with you that it's complex.
I think that's a you problem, my friend.
I've found that it's kind of a single kind of note experience, and it's good. It's good at what it does.
It's not one note, no.
But it's kind of blah. It's kind of bland. Give me the 7. Give me any of the
7?
distillery.
Are you fucking kidding me? Give me the 7 over the Grand Reserva?
Give me the 7. It's a great sipping rum.
Oh my God.
It's not as refined as the Grand Reserva, but it's also way better in terms of flavor that it's bringing.
No way, dude.
Yes.
Okay, dude, blind taste those rums, and there's no way. You're being blinded by price. You're obsessed for some reason with not picking rums that break the bank. And the 7's a great value for the price. I will give you that. But in terms of a sipping experience, the Grand Reserva is going to wipe the floor with it all day long. Trust me, I've done them back to back. It's incomparable.
It's softer. I'll give you that. It's definitely softer. The
Deeper,
7 is a little hotter,
more complex.
No. The 7 is a better pick here, there are other Don Qs you could have gone with, to Arminder's point, that are way better than that one too. I get that they're a little more expensive and you're hurting for money at this point, but I feel like this is you went wrong with this one.
No, I'm picking this one with my heart. I'm saying it with my chest. I think this is a great pick.
You always pick with your heart. So
it's underappreciated. Well, maybe you could take a tip from me, John, and you might win something for once in your life. So I don't know. But yeah, this is one I looked at all the other ones. I thought about the sherry cask, which I like. But this one, that last time I had the tasting experience with it, I was just like, man, this one, when you sit back and appreciate this rum, you don't get blinded by the low proof. It really backs up what it's preaching out there. So I'm happy to have it.
I pick with my head and not my heart, because my head is where my mouth is. So
I think you're both wrong. I don't like either one of those rums. So.
There we go. We all disagree.
Yeah. All right, which means it's my turn now, right? That's tough. This is getting tougher and tougher.
It is.
But I think that's by design. Oh, yeah, crap. Money is an issue in it. All right, I'm going to go with a rum that I think I'm going to slot into my 100% pot still, but it can work in the aged category. It can work in that's the only other category it can work in. I think it's a fantastic rum. When it comes to, I would say, rums from this country, in terms of core releases, this is probably my favorite rum. That's a core release. I just think it, for me, has the right balance of age plus funk. Because obviously, that to me, that is like a very tricky kind of balance to ride. And obviously, when I'm talking funk, I'm talking Jamaica. And I know one of you picked the Worthy Park Estate Reserve, and I think that one doesn't have as much of the funk that I'm looking for. So to me, the one I'd rather go with in this particular category is Hampden 8.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be lying if I said historically I don't rate that over the Worthy Park Reserve. So that's the worst thing for me to say right now, because those could end up going head to head. But, part of the problem for me was I already had the Hampden 8 mark. So my Hampden was checked off. So I couldn't go that direction. But I respect it. Sure. I know that rum has been drafted in a previous year, but I don't think it was last year. So I don't think it'll get snoozed.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the ones, it's just a great combo. And what I've come to appreciate, speaking to the 8 marks, is the OWH mark, even on age, I kind of really appreciate it.
I love the OWH mark. It's so good. And I think that's one of the ones that, like, I don't know if you're a rum nerd, I feel like those lower ester marks, people turn their nose up at them a little. Like, oh, that one wasn't even around until the Hussey family bought the distillery, and then they made this lighter mark. But the OWH, man, especially the unaged OWH in the 8 marks collection, sings. It's awesome. And that 8-year release is awesome. To me, that's another kind of icon of the rum world. So
that's totally is
phenomenal rum.
And I like this green and yellow. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Oakland A's.
I love it.
My local team, even though anything about sports, but shout out to them.
Hey, you know about fantasy rum sports now, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And I guess this is like the nerdiest thing ever, like in terms of like, people who are into sports do all this? Because this is pretty nerdy.
Oh, they do. Yeah. I've had 3 fantasy football drafts in the last 2 weeks, actually.
3? John, why are you in 3 leagues? You need.
Usually I'm only in 2, but I got suckered into a 3rd one this year, and probably didn't need to be in 3.
Are you hurting for money, man? Damn.
Yeah. No. I don't play for much money on those, if any. Sure. It's more than just to kind of have the fun of it. But it sucks because then you have all these different players on different teams. It's too much. I agree with you.
It scrambles your fandom. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I will say though, just to call out that this is it's a fairly expensive rum too. It's $76. So.
Yeah. But it really is a great pick, and it's so iconic, like you said, or Will said, that it's it's worthy of a spot on this roster. Okay. Onward here. Let's start. We're getting close here now. It's starting to get a little tough. And Will, with your average rum needing to be cheap, I'm keep putting the pressure on you here. Not letting you do what you did to me the first year. I know we don't have an overproof category now, technically, but I still want this overproof rum. And I think this is probably the best one that is remaining at this point. I actually got to try this at a recent festival. It's also almost been a year now, but I know it just hit shelves pretty recently. And it's been pretty well adored by everyone. So we're going to go with the Monty Musk Overproof at $31. A really rich, really nice overproof Jamaican rum here that, the worthy park that Arminder has, I know it's going to be competitive with that. I know some people have their favorites one way or another, so I get that it's a difficult one. But even if this ends up being on my bench, I'm okay with that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm kind of torn because I recently did a blind tasting of most of the Unaged Overproof Jamaican rums, and I blindly picked the Monty Musk Overproof as my favorite neat. But I think the big takeaway for me in terms of in cocktails, it kind of gets lost in cocktails. It doesn't really do a whole lot of anything in cocktails. You could argue that means it's a team player, sure, but if I want something that's 63% ABV and it's supposed to have some funk in it, I want it to kind of come through in the cocktails, and compared to the other ones, I don't think it does as much.
I think you might be right there, I haven't done that A/B test myself, but most of the time, we're not going to be A/B-C'ing Jamaican overproofs, right? You're just at a bar and you're going to have, hey, I've got this bottle hanging around and I know it's going to make a fantastic cocktail with it. So I get where you're going with it, but I think that, as you said, you blindly picked it, and you picked it for a reason because it's really good.
Sure.
Okay. There's 2 rums that I'm looking at right now. One, I think, is the superior strategic pick, and one of them is a heart pick that I'm not sure if one of you guys are interested in it or not, but if I don't get it, in all my little practice exercises, I always had this, even if sometimes it was just on my bench. And it's just one of those rums that I have a soft spot for. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with this now just to get it out of the way. And I am going to go with a favorite mixing rum of mine, especially if it's like not a complex drink. I love mixing this with ginger beer and just kicking back with it. I'm going to go with Karuba rum at $24. So trying to, save some money. But literally every time I did this, like a practice run on my own, playing around with budgets, I always had this just because, again, like I said, I always have this rum at home. It has a little, it brings something to the table, that really works in simple cocktails. So it's one I like to have, and I'm happy to have it in my bar.
I mean, it's a workhorse. It totally is.
Yeah.
Like in cocktail making, and one of my favorite Mai Tai specs has a little bit of Karuba in it, and I think it's delicious. By itself, neat, not really my thing.
Not so much.
Doing a whole lot of anything, frankly.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say about it. It's not one that does anything for me, but I'm less of the cocktail person. I know a lot of people who are into tiki cocktails just adore it.
Okay, I'm gonna go with what I think will be the multi-country blend selection. Well, no, because I don't have to. Well, you guys might grab it for your bench, actually.
You feel our pain now, Arminder.
Yeah, a little bit. little bit. What else do I have here? I want to try to win that category, and I'm going to try to reach for that rum right now. This is, I think, probably one of the most iconic kind of multi-country blends in the last 5-6 years now. It's 2 countries. I think it's primarily one country with a splash of a little bit of the other country. And it has quickly become, for many people, their go-to rum for a single bottle situation for their Mai Tais, which obviously should give it away. It's the one and only Denizen 8 year.
Ah, okay.
Boom.
That's a good product.
I mean, it makes for a hell of a Mai Tai. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. You just pour it and you're good to go. Not a fan of the new label. That little white and all this just is not working for me. Not that I liked the old label. I don't think I necessarily like the old label either, but this wasn't the answer.
Yeah. No.
There was a problem. This wasn't the solution, frankly. But it's tough to argue against Denizen as a multi-country blend. I think it's so many people. It's kind of their go-to. They keep it stocked all the time. Yes, primarily people will mostly just use it for a Mai Tai, but I've tried it in other cocktails and it sings just as well in those as well.
You can sip it, and it's not bad, too. I will throw that out there. I think I drafted that last year, so that might be another one going on snooze. But yeah, it's a great pick, and it works in a lot of different contexts. It's really affordable. I think you can say that about Denizen's rums across the board, although I know a lot of people are not happy with the unaged, or it's the lightly aged Denizen one, the white Denizen rum, because people are saying that they've changed some of the components of that when it went from like 3 to 5 or whatever. I haven't had the new one yet though, but yeah, really for the value, great rums typically.
Yeah, exactly. So $38, and I will say I will call it the age up to 8 years. That's the smallest up to.
I hate how they do that.
That's BS. Yep.
Honestly, that got even me. For the longest time, I referred to that as like Denizen 8 year because I thought that it was 8 year minimum age in there, and they sneak in the up to in such tiny letters on the label. It's really one of the more egregious like up to ones in the ecosystem out there right now. The TTB should really not allow that.
All right, so I'm up here and I'm looking around at what I'm doing.
Drop the coin, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to see you do it.
So this is what's gonna happen now. So yeah, finally I'm gonna drop a little bit of money here. Not a ton, but enough to make a statement, because I think, given this is a strategy pick as well as a heart pick, Will, it's from my heart, because it is one of my perennial favorites. It's head and heart, actually, which is a good mix at this point in the draft, so late in the draft. So I feel like this is the right pick. And the only reservation I have is when it measures up against other similar rums from the same distillery, one of which has already been picked, but I'm actually not putting it in the long-aged category. So this is going to be Foursquare, their ECS 2011.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to put this into my aged slot. And it goes up against what I think is pretty competitive against the rums that you all have there right now. We'll see if that changes. But that's where I'm going with it. It's going to be, by the way, I own this rum. And I haven't gotten all of the vintages over the years. I kind of dropped off. I think we might have mentioned that at some point on the podcast after 2007. But I did pick up 2011. I was really, frankly, very surprised at how good it is. I thought it was well better than 2010, well better than 2009. So, it's a recent offering, but it's also one of their better ones. And it's gotten better over time. And I hate when I say that because I really don't know how that works exactly. But now that the bottle is half done, it's somehow even better.
I'm going to validate you on that, because I often have that experience with specifically Foursquare cask strength rums, and I don't know if it's just my head, if I'm just whatever, if it's just weird subconscious perception things, but I swear those bottles often do get better as you go along.
It certainly feels like it to me, and it's a great rum. It's $119, so not super breaking the bank, but finally have a triple digit rum on there.
That's a hell of a matchup right now. If we don't move anything, it would be Foursquare 2011 versus Worthy Park Estate Reserve versus El Dorado Port Morant cask strength single still. That's the voters, this is tough on us, but the voters having to choose between 3 rums for every category.
No, there's a clear answer.
That's tough.
To that. I mean, I think there's a pretty clear
I believe
answer.
so. I believe you're right.
Arminder doesn't get it. He's like, yeah, no, I mean, I actually agree. I don't know why I said that, but obviously Worthy Park is the
No.
move there. But
I mean, clearly here, look, 3 classic rums, but we all know the Foursquare is going to win that.
Oh, man. Oh, shit. That means I'm up, doesn't it?
Yes.
I think the flaw in my bar right now is
there's more than one.
The singular flaw in my bar right now is that I don't have any Guyana in it.
You don't.
Gotta have some Guyana. So I'm going to go with something that I think, I wish it were a little bit cheaper, but again, it's something that when I had it recently, I think it's the best kind of in this lineup of stuff that they offer. And maybe this is a strategic error because of possible matchups. But it's a rum that I just like, again, if I'm on a desert island, I would be stoked to have this in the lineup because I think it's really great neat, even if it is low proof. And I've got a bunch of high proof stuff on here. I need some low proof stuff from time to time. So I am going to go with El Dorado 12 for my other age slot. Another classic rum of the world at $54. I think it's, as of the last time I compared these back to back, I actually prefer the 12 to the 15, which is nice because the 12 is cheaper. But yeah, I would encourage you, especially if you haven't had the El Dorado 12 since they released kind of like the new edition of it that has less of whatever barrel shenanigans were going on that, we've heard a bunch of different explanations for. It's really nice. And even for an 80 proof rum, brings complexity. It's really good. So wanted to get some Guyana representation, and I'm glad to have that there.
It's fine. I mean, it's a good pick. It's a late, kind of, I get it. You're bound by your budget at this point, and you could certainly do worse. So I was pretty recently surprised by how really good 12 is.
I know, man.
It's a good one. Like I want to shit on it, but
Yeah, you want to, and then you taste it, and you're like, I like what this is putting down.
Yeah. A little boring, but it's okay. I mean, the pick, not the rum.
Yeah, I think I've thrown enough curveballs, and you have to balance innovation with tradition, John, is kind of the key to winning this whole thing. So just a free tip.
Do you? I don't know.
Now for my next pick, given that all the aged categories except for long aged have been already picked by you guys, so I have one aged.
Yeah.
I guess I can wait on that a little bit. I guess you guys could pull it for a bench, but I'm going to take a bit of a risk here.
Or for 100% pot, 100% column.
Yeah, I'm going to go with some bench option here. Something that I think is torn, because this was a rum that I wanted to pick within the lineup. And obviously, at the end of this, I may switch things around, because I think this is one of my personal favorites. I think it's a complete rock star when it comes to cocktails. It is one of my favorite rums to use in a daiquiri, in a tea punch, in a frozen strawberry daiquiri as well. It's definitely my rum of the summer, of any summer. It is iconic in its own way, as you'll see as I flash it in front of the camera right now. It's Chiranda Uruapan Blanco,
yeah, it's good
aka
stuff.
Blue Bottle. It's a workhorse. It's half molasses, half cane juice.
Yep.
46% ABV, so love that, and relatively affordable. Although I don't know how much it's priced at Del Mesa. Should probably take a look. $31. Yeah, that's fine. And I think more people should be drinking this.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I think that's I don't know if I could go quite as far as saying quite yet that it's like a classic rum of the world, but I feel like that was the first Mexican rum that I kind of saw widely available. That was kind of like a more artisanal, type of Mexican rum as opposed to something like Deadhead or Mocambo or something like that. So that one has a special place in my heart for that. And how can you forget the electric blue bottle? You're not going to forget that one.
No, not at all.
I agree. It's an iconic one. I still think I like the single Agricola a little bit better. The Bianco. There's a Blanco. Yeah, the Blanco. I like that one slightly better in terms of what it is. But again, you're going to pay more for that one, so I get it.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to go with a rum here it's an interesting one. Arminder, way earlier in the draft, you kind of stole out from under me the GM Terroir Volcanique, which I give you full credit for because it is a really great rum, and I would have picked that. That said, I'm still looking at. I have a 100% column slot open here, and I feel like I need to have something in here that I'm confident in. There's a couple of things in my lineup right now that I could shift into the 100% column, but then I would need something to fill that slot. So I'm looking here at the Rum GM Atelier series, and I'm a little caught up with which of them I really should pick here, because there's two of them that I like better than the other one. But there's one that I think my palate likes better than the majority of people out there. And of course, we're not really doing for us as much as we are trying to look at the palate of the many. And so
that's one way to look at it.
Yes. I mean, it's a tough one because I would know which one I would pick of the three if it were me and I just had one.
You got to go with that one. If you know which one you would pick, you got to go with that one, man. Come on.
But I'm not. I'm going to go against it. I'm going to go with the one that I think the majority of people like the best out of this series, and that is the Jardin Fruit. I'm going with that one. Maybe it is a little safe. I agree with that. Maybe it comes back to bite me there, but it's a good rum. It really is a great rum. I think I like the Fumé Volcanique slightly better, but that's just because of what it brings, the little bit of a smoky note to me. Most people seem to gravitate towards the Jardin Fruit as the best of the three. So going with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've tried them in a bunch of different cocktails, and I think I like that in like an old fashioned more than the other two. But the Epis Creoles to me is it's the one right in the middle that kind of balances all the more kind of big bold flavors of the Fumi and some of the more drinkability of the Jardin Fruit. So that's probably where I kind of
see. Therein lies the problem, because to me that's the weakest of the three, and you love it. You like it the best. So I know I'm gonna lose on this one, no matter what choice I make. In a way, right? You're gonna lose some people, but at this point in the draft,
I can co-sign you, John. I think you and I have the exact same order, and we did these on a semi-blind review recently where I was the blind taster. Fumé was the one we started with, and then after revealing what that was, you told me the other two samples were the Jardin Fruit and the Epis Creole. And when I ranked them all, I had Fumé as the number one, the Jardin Fruit as the number two, and the Creole bringing up third. So yeah, I don't know. I thought the Fumé was the one that was like the most distinctly different and kind of like brought something else to the lineup,
Correct.
the Rum GM lineup. But I do see from a strategic standpoint, like Arminder has the Terroir Volcanique, but those might not end up going up against each other in the same category. So,
but they might. Yeah. He might throw it in there.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually know exactly what I'm going to pick. So I need to do this because I kind of feel like if I don't, my flexibility might be fucked. So, but fortunately, I do think this is a really quality rum, and it might end up on my bench. It might end up somewhere else, but I need at least one other unaged rum, and I also need something that I think can fit into 100% pot still as well, just so I can get some lineup flexibility. And this is one, I don't know if they're going to keep making this or not. And it comes from a distillery I already selected, but it is a distinct brand, and it kind of seems like a brand that they're winding down. So I am going to select Rumbar Silver Jamaican rum. So this is not the Rumbar Overproof, which is out of stock on the Del Mesa website. It's still up there, but it's out of stock. But this is I would say sort of like a workhorse mixing unaged rum that's not going to bring quite as much of the funk as Rumbar Overproof or Worthy Park Overproof. But I kind of need a rum, like a white rum that's a little bit more malleable. I don't really have that in my lineup. I think the closest thing I had to that is the TCRL High Seas, but that has a little bit of the aged component. So I'm getting a fully unaged rum. It's 100% pot still, so I can put it in a few different places. It's $34. So, I've got limited budget left for my 3 remaining picks. I only have $101 now. So I've got to start being price conscious, but that's okay. Some of us are price conscious early. Some of us are price conscious late. It all comes back to the same $800 budget.
That's true.
End. So that's what I'm rocking with.
I was about to say some complimentary stuff about Rumbar Silver, but then I realized this is a competition, so I'm not going to say anything.
I salute your strategic mind.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, I will say I won't compliment the Rum Bar Silver, but I'll compliment the Worthy Park Silver, which is actually the same rum. That it is packs tons of flavor for 40% ABV. It's kind of crazy to me, and people have really overlooked obviously the Rum Bar Silver, and I hope they don't overlook the Worthy Park Silver because it's if you want a crushable and extremely flavorful daiquiri or a rum to use in a daiquiri or any other kind of cocktail, that's kind of it. 40% unaged, so you get all these fermentation flavors, high-ish ester flavors at a low ABV. It's kind of the best package, if you ask me.
Yeah, and that's something that honestly my current bar lacked. Like I don't have another rum like this, so I appreciate the versatility it's bringing, the value it's bringing, and it's from a great distillery. So I'm happy to be able to squeeze two Worthy Parks made by Worthy Park, but because they're not the same brand, still 100% legal.
Agreed. Yeah, it's good stuff. So. All right. I mean, this is a tough thing to do at this point in the draft, right?
Yep.
We're narrowing down the choices. You're looking at your bench stuff. You're trying to get some flexibility, like you said. Yep. This is difficult. People, if you're not doing this with us, I would suggest trying to do this. It's really tough.
I've worked harder on this than like any of my videos or for the SATs. I've studied harder for this. Got more for this than my wedding vows, it feels like.
If your spouse has listened this far into this episode, then they are truly a warrior and someone that was more than worthy. So that would be amazing. So also, I fully don't expect them to listen this far into this into your guest appearance on yet another rum podcast. So yeah, I will also link to the spreadsheet that we use. So anyone listening can take it. You can go to file, make a copy, and play around with it if you want and kind of see what you can make. I'd actually love for some people to do that and like send in what your picks would have been. Obviously, you can't simulate like other people making picks, but I'd love to see that if anyone else wants to design their $800 budget Del Mesa Wine and Spirits Desert Island Rum Bar, then knock yourself out.
I mean, I think, you've got such an amazing Patreon community. Find two other people that are part of that Patreon community and do that. You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Your own version of this. I'd love to see the results of that.
I would get such a good kick out of that. That would be amazing if anyone wants to do that.
All right. I've got to make some tough decisions here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think for the aged, I'm looking at what the selections are. Obviously, this stuff can change, but we've got Chairman's Reserve Legacy, Eldorado 12 right now. If they were to stay there in that particular bracket, what do I do to kind of compete against that, right? With the budget that I have, and both, you could argue, are great rums. So I will submit another great rum. This is something that I think, what I love about this is it's usually fairly available. You can kind of find it at a very specific retailer. It is a delicious, drinkable rum. For the price point, you get a decent amount of proof, 46% ABV. It's also aged 12 years, and it has, if we're talking bottle shapes and iconic silhouettes and all that, this kind of definitely hits that category. It is the one and only RL Seal 12-year.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and obviously, good, solid, really good rum. Obviously, you guys, I don't know the exact placement it got your guys' blind tasting, but it was relatively high up there. I'm sure about,
yeah, I think it was.
Probably had a good showing, and it's just really good rum, great price, great proof, and look at this. Whatever the hell this is. Come on.
It's a great.
It's a hip flask. John and I, for the longest time, thought it was supposed to be like a melting bottle.
Melted bottle, yeah.
Or it even reminds me a little bit of the seal from like the Gosling's bottle. It's like kind of the seal pointing its nose up in the air. Yeah, hip flask was the last thing I thought, but that's what it's supposed to be. No, I thought that would get picked, and I think, John, you drafted this from last year, so I think it's going to get snoozed.
Okay.
But yeah, it's such a good value pick. And I think, oh man, I mean, I know we all have the freedom to move stuff around, but I feel like if we locked in all of our aged picks right now, it would be the most compelling vote possible. I mean, in the first slot, we've got Chairman's Legacy, Eldorado 12, RL Seal 12. Like, those are all rums that are trying to play in the same place.
Yeah.
And then we've got like the more premium age where we've got Foursquare 2011, Worthy Park Estate Reserve, and Eldorado Port Morant Cask Strength.
Super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like, if we could freeze, I would love to see what the vote breakdown on that is, because I honestly don't know like which rum would win which category. So
well, one thing we hadn't talked about before, this is our only category where it's a double category, right? Two aged picks. So we should kind of I hate to make rules midway, but if we're all in agreement with it conceptually and philosophically, then we should just do it, which is your lower priced rum should go against everybody else's lower priced rum in that double category. Meaning you can't like play games where you're like, actually my Foursquare rum is going to go against your Eldorado 12 and RL Sale 12, and that's not right. So
here's the thing. If I were being as strategic as possible, I would move my Worthy Park to go up against Chairman's and RL Sale 12, because
that's what I'm saying.
Like it would win, but I don't want to do that because I want to see what the results would be.
Nor should you be able to, is what I'm arguing. Right. So I think, again, if we're all okay with that, I hadn't thought about it ahead of time, but it should be that the more expensive rums of that double category go against each other by default.
Okay, I'm good with that. I'll make a gentleman's agreement to that.
If you move your Eldorado 12 onto your bench, that's on you, right? And put something else in there, and then we see what shakes out. But your two rums that go in that category, they have to go lower price against lower price and higher price against higher price. All right, cool. So at this point, now things are starting to get a little bit easier for me. I've got $229 left. You guys have 101 and 83, although Arminder, you just picked an extra rum than we have, so you're ahead. But I feel like I've got enough room to work here. I feel like I've got things in mind that make sense. It's the middle of the draft that's a little bit harder. In a certain way. So this one, I'm just going to make the easy pick here right now. You both already have some Worthy Park, and you know how much I love Worthy Park. So I like Worthy Park 109 quite a bit. I think it's a great rum.
Yep.
$31 works for me. I'm just putting it in my bench right now. But I just think it's just super solid, and it's hard to find a super solid rum like that for $31 at this point in the draft. So make that pick, and we can move on, because I know you both love it and have nothing but good things to say about it.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, like that was on my short list. I had already drafted a Worthy Park rum, so obviously I couldn't do it. I drafted it last year, so yet another one that's going to be snoozed. Next year is going to be really interesting, but
yeah, it will.
It's a phenomenal rum. It's so good. I guess that means I'm up. I'm going to grab something for my bench because I have $101 to spend between 3 different rums. So I'm going to go for a lightly aged, super affordable option. And I don't really have a rum like this in my bar right now. I think it's one of the classic sessionable mixing rums of the world. I'm going to go with Mount Gay Eclipse at $17. Tough to beat.
I knew you were value. I should have wrote it on and showed the piece of paper. I knew you were going to take this one.
You should have. Yeah, I drafted it last year, so another one's going to be snoozed. Yeah, I mean, again, I had $31 a piece or $33 a piece to spend on rum, so I need to carve myself out a little bit of flexibility. So I was kind of looking at what are the lower priced rums, and it's like Bacardi Superior, Bacardi Gold, Ron Methusalem, like of course, like Mount Gay Eclipse stands out. Gosling's Black Seal, that's actually $5 more than Mount Gay Eclipse. So it's again a lightly aged. This is not a rum that you're gonna sip. I mean, you can. It's not like it's not bad if you sip it, but it's not bringing anything to the table in a sipping experience. But in cocktails, I think it serves a purpose. So Mount Gay Eclipse on my bench for now. I could put it in the starting lineup. We'll see, but I think I'm pretty confident it's going to.
You're not putting it in the starting lineup.
You never know, John.
Nope,
you never know.
I dare you to put it in the starting lineup right now. Do it.
We shall see.
So, Will, I will see your Mount Gay Eclipse.
You're gonna Navy strength me right now? Are you gonna Navy strength me?
No. I'm not. I'm just buying myself time as I look for this bottle somewhere around me, because I could have sworn I brought it up here. Well, I try to. Here. Okay. I see your Mount Gay Eclipse, and I pick a rum that kind of plays a bit in the same space in terms of that price point, classic kind of iconic rum that's great for mixing. I will say this is definitively the better rum, though. Part of that is just a little more flavor. I think it has a little bit more character. And if I'm making a cocktail, let's say that needs a little bit more personality, this is what I would reach for. It probably is a little bit more money than the $17, but truly a classic. And even for as cheap as this is, I would even recommend this for people who are getting into rum that want something slightly flavorful, a little fruity. And that's Appleton Signature.
Yeah.
Nice.
Appleton
Sig. Yep. Classic.
Can't beat it. And I think
I'm not
one of
going to
you
say
picked it
anything
last year,
disparaging
right?
about Appleton Signature, other than, I mean, given your budget, I feel like maybe you could have
Appleton
sprung
8?
for the 8, which is worlds better. But
I'm guessing there's a strategy there with this final
Yeah,
pick.
you don't know
that
my
he's looking
plans,
at
man.
something.
that's true. That's fair.
Back
That's
off,
fair.
man.
But I do agree that the 8 is also really good, and the Sig is, of course, another nice iconic rum to have in your bar.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's getting slotted into the bench.
Oh wow, Arminder's only got one rum left.
I don't know why my Jardin fruit pick just went green on me. Do you see that?
I missed it. I am noticing your $198 you still have available for your final 2 picks.
Well, that's about to change.
Are you going to do your long aged finally?
Finally, it's come time to do it. And if you've noticed, and I'm sure you have, there's a couple of things that are missing from my bar right now that I would usually have. And 2 things, actually. One is I don't have any Guyana, like you said, Will. Kind of feel like I need some Guyana to be represented in my bar.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
And 2 is I don't have a Holmes Key yet.
Holmes Key.
Yeah, so that should tell you all you need to know. I am picking, for the long age category, the Holmes Key Single Cask Rum Iflot 2003. It is a phenomenal rum. It's $159, so it is expensive, but I had the budget for it. I budgeted for it the whole time to make sure that I could do it successfully. I was actually in between this and the Holmes Key that Arminder picked, the Reunion. Thank you. The Reunion Island. Thanked myself there, like what's his name did, like Quentin Williams. Holmes Key Reunion Island Grand Arome was the other one that I was thinking, but this one is how this draft shook out, and I'm happy to have this in my bar. I do have this bottle. It is a fantastic Iflot rum, and I think, honestly, if the categories stay as it is, it's competitive with those. So I'll be interested to see how the voters go with it.
Yeah, that was one I had highlighted as something I might possibly consider. I've got 2 rums left to do. I have a bench spot and I have a cane juice aged spot, which I have been saving. I didn't think I was going to go this way, but because I have the budget for this, who would have thought that I'd say that at this stage? I'm going to go a little bit more expensive in the cane juice aged category than I had anticipated. And I'm going to go something actually going with the theme here, which is lightly aged cane juice rums that are currently slotted in there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, people could move some stuff around, but I'm going to go with something that actually another rum that has already been picked has replaced in the US. And I was just messaging with another rum fan who was quite disappointed that they made this decision. So this rum, I believe, has been discontinued in the US, but is going to still be available in the EU going forward, if I'm remembering correctly. And that is Rum JM VO. So
I always forget about that one.
Yeah, it's
hence why it's probably being phased out.
But if you've had it, it's really good for what it is. That lightly aged, it's like a little bit above Elevé sous bois, obviously, but not quite to the XO level. Drinks really well. You can make a great old fashioned with it. So that leaves me with $30. It takes care of my cane juice aged category. And I'm interested, if we froze cane juice aged, I'm not saying we need to, but I would be curious to see what wins between Papaline Haiti 4-year Rum GMVO and Nissan Elevé sous bois.
Yeah.
You can make a compelling argument for any of those rums. So I'd be interested to see how that plays out. So anyway, I've got $30 left to make a bench pick. My Hampton 8 Marks, Foursquare Equipoise first 2 rums out of the gate, big spending, drop in the wallet. I think it worked out okay for me. I'm feeling decent about what I've got to pick from for my last bench spot.
I'm glad you're feeling decent about it.
Yeah, Arminder over there, you got $58 for this final spot. But you're still looking at the cane juice unaged category, which there's a lot of stuff you can do in that category.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this now for a couple of rounds, exactly what to do, because like I mentioned, the Sajus is what I said at one point, my favorite spirit period, which is obviously a very bold thing to say, and why I will not denigrate it. I think it's a phenomenal. I would say there is something that can kind of hold its own against it, and frankly, most of the time it's probably the more interesting of the clarions. I'm going to scoot back a little bit as I reach for La Roche.
Oh, yeah, it's my second favorite.
This is big, bold. It's out of this world, right? I mean, I think the Sajus can at least plays in a space that you can kind of understand. Sometimes I feel like this is just from a whole different like planet, you know?
I agree.
Obviously, there's some variation from like vintage and vintage, I guess, but like creamy, barbecuey, smoky. It is just kind of out of the world in terms of the flavors. Maybe more than all of the other ones. This is the one I love just sipping on neat. I obviously love sipping Sajus neat, but I often will mix with it a decent amount. This, I just think it's because it is so a remarkable, unique spirit that it kind of deserves to just be appreciated as is. So I would argue that this can absolutely go toe-to-toe to Sajus, and that people who are listening, people who are watching, people who are going to be voting, I think they might lean in the direction of La Roche because of how special and out of the world it is. So I'm going to put my eggs in that basket.
Can I ask you a question, Arminder?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which unaged cane juice rum do you plan on moving into the cane juice unaged category, since you just added a cane syrup unaged rum?
What?
Am I remembering correctly?
Yes, this is cane syrup, but I thought we had a whole discussion
we
said when it comes to cane syrup, that we were, depending on how it's made, and if it is something like this where it comes, from an area near the producer and it kind of goes directly into the actual production, that we would, therefore, it would fit in that category.
It's
just
true.
like we talked, because I brought it up in terms of Rivers, because Rivers is also cane syrup, and that I thought about that. Yeah.
We don't. I wanted to bring it up because I knew people would have that question at home about the pick. Those who are aware that it's distilled from cane syrup, which is cane juice that has been kind of boiled, heated up to where it gets into a thicker kind of state where it's a little more stable. But yeah, I think, we don't have a syrup category. We don't really have molasses categories either, but I think most of the non-cane juice categories end up being molasses rums. There are a few exceptions to that. But I think, like you were saying, the spirit of a cane syrup rum like this one, like they're harvesting the cane, right? Like it's coming from something that's planted right there. It's being boiled, distilled from that. So that's why we made the decision to allow cane syrup rums in juice categories for the purposes of this draft.
Yep.
Exactly. I will say you kind of gave me a bit of a fright. I'm like, wait, did I mess up?
I wanted to do it in that way. I needed to create a little suspense here.
What a dick, right? What a dick.
Yeah, I know, right? What the hell? I had a bit of a heart attack. But yes, I get it. It's cane syrup, but this feels very much like an agricultural product, much as the other Clarins in the lineup. So I will proudly stand behind this.
I think that's the best way to put it. It's an agricultural product. Yeah, I think it definitely hits that mark.
Agreed.
John, final pick, buddy.
All right, final pick.
We made it.
Yeah, it's been a long draft, but it's been a fun one, and I really do like having the dimensions of three people drafting.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I'll keep it short here because I think we're in almost 3 hours at this point. I think. So my last pick, it was a tough one because I really wanted to have representation of a rum that is a column stilled. Spanish heritage is what comes to mind, even though we talk about how poor a descriptor those are in many cases. A lighter rum. And there's not a whole lot to choose from here that I have that is still in my price point because I only have a few dollars left here. So surprisingly, and I hope it doesn't hurt me too much because I actually like this product. This is the Bacardi Ocho series. And it's there's a few different ones here. There was the sherry cask, there's the rye cask, and then the straight Ocho. I'm going to go with the sherry cask because I think the sherry cask is something different. I don't really have much of that in this bar right now, and something that I think I could pull out especially for people that maybe don't want to start with challenging their palates and they're not as used to some of the stuff that we are talking about here, and I can still have that available for them. I also think it's a good rum. It's not a bad rum. It may have a little bit of dosage there or a little bit of added sugar. I don't think it's a whole lot based on the palate, my palate. When I try it, I'm going into that knowing that, hey, people hate on Bacardi, but given the choices I have left here, I think it's probably one of the better rums to choose.
I admire the willingness to add the bat to your bar lineup, to breaking the Bacardi barrier here. Because I think, like you said, if we take brand names out of the equation, everyone hates on Bacardi for obvious reasons. But I do agree with you that this is a fairly solid. I have not had the sherry one, by the way. I haven't had any of the cask finishes, but I've done the Bacardi distillery tour and like did the tasting where you taste through all the rums. And honestly, the 8 is like one of the better ones. Like once you get beyond that, a lot of them I do think are kind of more into the additives territory. I don't know what the 8 has in terms of additives, but it's in the acceptable category at the very least. So I salute you for willing to go against the grain and put yourself out there and add a Bacardi rum to your bar.
If people blind tasted this and didn't know what it was, they would enjoy it a hell of a lot more. Yeah. Put plainly. Yeah.
Hey everyone, Will here with a quick correction. So after the draft, we noticed a slight pricing error on one of John's rums, so he ended up switching Bacardi Ocho Sherry Cask Finish to the regular Bacardi Ocho so he could stay under budget. It's a little cheaper. It was an honest mistake. Arminder and I launched a full investigation that found no foul play, cleared on all charges, and the spreadsheet was updated accordingly. All right, now back to the show.
All right, Will, you're up for last pick here.
Last pick.
Make it a good one.
Mr. Irrelevant, if we're using NFL terminology.
That's right.
Or NBA terminology too. There's 2 bottles out there that I think are perfectly good rums. It'll probably end up on my bench, but both of them could also slot into the lightly aged or multi-country blend spots. And I am going to go with 10-1 white rum at $29.
I considered it. Yeah.
To round out my bench. A really nice white rum blend. And the reason why I said it has something that others don't is because, so I have Rum Bar Silver, but that's an unaged rum. I have the Hampton 8 Marks collection. That's unaged rum. I don't have one that has kind of like the aged and filtered white rum. And that's what this is. I think some of the rum in this blend is unaged. I think the Jamaica component perhaps. But oh yeah, Clarence Sajou, that's another unaged, not aged and filtered. But yeah, so this one I think is a little bit different. It brings something different to the table for the daiquiris and things like that. I could probably approximate something by blending some rums that I already have together. But I do think this one will surprise you a little bit in that yes, there are a lot of multi-country white blended rums out there, but this one I do think has kind of a unique thing. It's got this like bubblegum note going on to it, which I think might come from the Worthy Park, but anyway, it's a fine rum, and it leaves me with a very satisfying just $1 left in my budget. So I always love getting the most out. Arminder, I see you have $2 left. John, you have $5 left. I just want to point out to everyone, I have $1 left. So you know, if you're thinking about most effective use of the budget, I'm not putting myself out there. I'm just saying, look at it, study it, consider it as you're casting your votes.
In terms of percent, we are so close that it really doesn't matter.
But I was under the impression that whatever we don't spend, you guys are going to give it to me in cold hard cash, right? Can I get the $2?
I'll send you $8.
Absolutely.
We'll total it all up and send. We'll write a check to the Rum Revival for $8.
There you go. I just wanted my $2 that I didn't spend, but I'll take your money too.
We'll deliver it in jumbo check format. I'll have to look into like how to do that. I've never done a jumbo check before, but surely we can figure it out. This concludes the draft, ladies and gentlemen. A really fun exercise doing the 3-person draft. I liked it. I liked the little bit of unpredictability it added to it. And how's everyone feeling about their bar overall? Overall, I'll just say I'm feeling pretty good. I think I tend to I usually feel good after the draft, and I look at it closer and I'm like, I don't know, I'm feeling a little bit bad, but I gotta say right now I'm feeling pretty good. I got a lot of rums that I want, and there's not a single rum in my lineup that I'm like, I wish I hadn't taken that one. How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Actually, kind of going through this exercise, I had rums that I wanted to select, that I was hoping to get, and I got almost all of them but the Sajous.
Wow.
And really, I had a whole separate kind of game that I was playing or achievement that I was hoping to unlock, which was to see if I could pick something from my entire actual collection, like physically have all the bottles.
Yeah.
And I did it. So, whether I win or lose,
I noticed you had all the bottles there.
Yeah. That's amazing. I think Arminder wins the award for most extensive home bar collection between the three of us, because you were just throwing them out left and right.
An achievement unlocked for being able to do that in the first place. Yeah.
And look, I've always thought of myself as the prop comic of the rum content creator world. So that's that.
Well, those of you listening, this is where we need your help. So this competition is only as good as the votes that it yields. So we need you to go to rumcast.com/vote, cast your votes for each category, cast your votes for best overall rum bar, cast your votes for best overall bench. We will keep the voting live. I can't remember if we do 1 or 2 weeks, but it's generally a decent amount of time after the episode airs. So we will leave the decision in your hands now. And then on our next episode, in the intro of that episode, John and I will fully break down. Arminder, we may need to have you back on to break down the results. We can't do it without you, since you're such a big part of it.
We'll do it like a special release.
We'll do a special thing, an awards presentation ceremony. One of us will be crowned the winner. There's one possible three-peat winner among us, which is me. You're just gonna throw that out there. If you want to see a part of rum content history,
I'm not letting you get away with that.
Winner.
Whoa. No metagaming here, okay? It's about the rums on the list.
Though, if that does happen, I think we have to retire you, Will. Right? That's going to have to be how that works, right? I'm pretty sure.
That's true. Actually, if I did win 3 in a row, I would be happy to sit out the next one, and then we can bring someone else on. Give you guys another shot. At that point, I'd need to do the Michael Jordan. After Michael Jordan's first three-peat, he had to retire and go play baseball. So maybe I'll retire. I'll go try doing like a
cognac fantasy draft.
Yeah, a cognac fantasy draft. I don't know. I'll try my hand. I'll do my Birmingham era like Michael Jordan did, and go do that, and then come back after that. I'll send the 2-word fax. I'm back. The iconic fax Michael Jordan sent. So anyway, go to rumcast.com/vote. Make your voice heard. Also, send us your reactions. We leave like a comment space in the voting, like just any thoughts you had from the draft. We've gotten some like my favorite listener reactions over the years from all episodes in that little space. So drop us your takes. Who did just like a mind-numbingly terrible pick? Who had a genius strategy? Who were you screaming at as you listened to the episode? Let us know. You can do it while you're voting, or you can send us an email at host@rumcast.com. It's host@rumcast.com. Or you can find us on social media and drop your takes there. John, where can they find us?
At the Rumcast, at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, as well as YouTube. There was plenty of visual content on this one that I thought would be fun to see on YouTube. So if you want to watch it and
the notes,
take it in there, and all the bottles from Arminder happen to have right by, which must have taken a lot of effort, I have to say, to get prepared for that.
Salute to Arminder for that.
Yes. So, find us anywhere there. Leave some comments. I mean, I know we get a lot of people in the Discord now that are talking amongst each other, and we love seeing that too. So if you want to join the Discord, you can also do that. Will, I know, where do they go to do that?
Patreon.com/therumcast. It's patreon.com/therumcast. We're doing bonus episodes, happy hours, the Discord, all kinds of stuff. And also, everyone, go check out the Rum Revival. We'll put up a link to it, obviously, on YouTube. Arminder has a Patreon as well that is fantastic if you want to support the work that he's doing. We're a supporter ourselves. He releases great behind-the-scenes content, like extra videos from all his filming, outtakes, stuff that didn't make the final cut. It's great stuff. So definitely check out Arminder's stuff. Arminder, thank you so much for being a great sport, for playing along with this, for being willing to sit with us here 3 hours on a Sunday doing this draft.
Thank you guys. This is a dream come true. Thank you. This is a dream come true. Never thought I'd be here, so I really appreciate it. This is awesome.
Amazing. All right, everyone, we will leave you with the vote, rumcast.com/vote, and we will see you soon with the final results. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.